Chapter 761. Cycle of Cause and Effect. Zhongli and the First Emperor brought Shanren to Zhouzhou. Currently, Zhouzhou needs to establish order to fight against the rules of destruction. Your existence becomes a stumbling block to set up the order. You've had smooth sailing all along, all arranged by the system, not having experienced real pain. Start over, see if you can return to the Mahayana. Seal the flesh, Zhongli said with the heavenly charter, sealing Shanren's body. Words following the law are inevitably subject to the authority of the heavenly Tao, unable to directly degrade Shanren's body to the original level without sealing it. System, extract, ... Shanren's body emanated a white glow, gradually detaching from his body. This was more strenuous than Zhongli's peeling off his own system and helping the First Emperor remove his, casting a more prominent halo. The two's halos were only the size of a fist, while Shanren's completely wrapped around his whole body. As the halo continued to be extracted, Shanren's Mahayana realm became an empty shell. After Zhongli destroyed the system, he conveniently stole all of Shanren's Mahayana cultivation. This spiritual energy was so heavy that if all placed in Zhouzhou, it could turn the spiritual energy into spiritual water and turn the Zhouzhou continent into the Zhouzhou ocean. Zhongli sealed this spiritual energy and handed it to Bai Hongtu. It could either gradually increase the concentration of spiritual energy in Zhouzhou or distribute it to other worlds when establishing order. Both were fine. Although Bai Hongtu also performed non-conservation of energy, the speed of creating spiritual energy out of thin air was limited. Shanren found that he was hollow inside. The faint spiritual energy was only a bit stronger than that of mere mortals, which was negligible. Qi cultivation level 4, this was Shanren's current cultivation level and also the cultivation level at the beginning of his transmigration. Such a cultivation level in Zhongli's Zhouzhou was at the very bottom among mortals. You cannot reveal your true identity, Zhongli put another shackle on Shanren. Go where you should go. Zhongli waved his sleeve, the scene around Shanren changed, and he arrived at a strange place. Where is this? Shanren found his shiny suit replaced by tattered and sweaty clothes, and he was holding a hoe in his hand. Slap! A fiery whip struck Shanren, hurting him so much that he grinded his teeth. If my body wasn't sealed, how could I have come to such a plight? Do you know who I am? I am. Shanren wanted to reveal his true identity, but the words just wouldn't come out. Seeing Shanren still raving, the overseer whipped him a few more times. Newcomer, don't play dumb, you better mind for old master honestly. If you can't dig enough, don't expect to eat today. You're violating human rights. Shanren was furious, his lowest point still hadn't pushed him to be a mind slave. What is a mind slave? If there's no stroke of luck in your life, you can never leave the mine until you die of old age. Bai Hongtu once told Shanren that there were none in Zhouzhou on the surface, but in fact, many mines had them. He suggested that Shanren should abolish the mine slavery system. Shanren said it was okay, and then he didn't take care about it anymore. It seems that Zhouzhou still had the mine slavery system. The implementation by the Imperial Palace was not thorough. Only now did Shanren truly realize what Bai Hongtu meant by difficult to implement the system. He didn't think much of it at the time, merely saying that it was always difficult to implement a system, but it can be overcome. What the hell is human rights? Do you think this is Dazhou? This is the Great Yang Dynasty, the fief of Second Miss Qinghua reign. Here, everyone but the Second Miss is a slave. Qinghua reign. Shanren memorized this name. Before the Eight Wastelands, he once played a fool to catch the tiger and save the Second Miss Qinghua reign of the Qing family. What a beautiful woman Qinghua reign was, kind-hearted and pleasant. How could she possibly make people mine? After the overseer left, Shanren quietly asked someone nearby, why did Waiyu make people mine? The bystander gave a big jump. How dare you address the Second Miss in such a way? This is how only Zhong, the human emperor, can address her. If you get to know about it, it would be either death or injury. Soon after, the same person explained, this is what I heard. The Second Miss is the youngest concubine of Zhong, the human emperor. She is not highly cultivated and cannot compete in the harem. After Zhong, the human emperor's disappearance, she is more worried about this situation. As a result, we, the mine slaves, have to come here to extract the Hongyan stone, refining it into the Hongyan pill to enhance attractiveness. The bystander was stunned, never having expected Qinghua reign to be this kind of person. It made sense though. He and Qinghua reign only had a brief encounter. How could he know about her true character? If she really was a considerate person, why would she casually use someone as a human shield on the street? Had this human shield been an ordinary person, he would have died by now. After a long pause, he stuttered, have you ever thought about rebelling, not being mind slaves anymore? The man laughed. Haven't you heard that more than 10 years ago, the Imperial Palace held a grand campaign to get rid of mind slaves, but it was all thunder and little rain. If the Imperial Palace couldn't accomplish it, how could we? Moreover, there's nothing to rebel against. There is food, drink, fun, and spiritual energy here. It's just that one cannot leave the mind for a lifetime and can't find a woman. You get used to it. Not to mention, we are safer here than in the Tianyuan Emperor dynasty. To know others is to know their faces, not their hearts. How could they understand each other after just one encounter? As days went by, the idle person was unfamiliar with the mining process. He had not dug enough for several days and hadn't eaten until today when he finally earned the right to eat. How is the mining going? A familiar voice came. It was second Miss Kinghwa Rain. In reply to the second miss, I will surely mine enough Hongyan stone before the alchemy master arrives. Kinghwa Rain, it's me. The idle man greeted with excitement upon seeing Kinghwa Rain. Kinghwa Rain looked at the unfamiliar idle man, not knowing why this mind slave acting so crazily. She glanced at the idle man with disgust, without responding. The foreman understood the second miss's intention, had some men heavily beat up the idle man, enough to make him bedridden for a few days. If he was bedridden, he couldn't mine, and if he couldn't mine, he wouldn't get to eat. Being in the mine without the strength to dig, one could imagine the consequence. Luckily, the idle man's physique was sealed but not completely. He could recover from his injuries quickly. A few days later, the idle man dug up a poisonous stone and was unfortunately poisoned. A kind-hearted coworker gave him a pill. Thank you, you'll have to repay me. Also, don't thank me. If it weren't for the human emperor providing funds for the spirit medicine sect to research civilian pills, lowering the pills' prices, I wouldn't have been generous to buy you medicine. If you want to thank the human emperor. The idle man fell silent. The first emperor watched the idle man's experiences for the past few days using the heavenly vision. Did you intentionally send this waste to the mine? Zhang Li shook his head, not deliberately. The cycle of causality is at play. His past behaviors are causes, and I am just letting him experience the effects. He will not be trapped in the mine forever. A greater effect will find him, making him repay the effects of his actions. Performing good deeds will bring good effects, while performing bad deeds will bring bad effects. From his actions, it seems unlikely that any good effects will find him. Emperor Bai Hong, although the idle man has disappeared, his influence is still present. In a few days, you can announce his death, so those acting under his name will not be as arrogant. Yes, Bai Hong too nodded. Without Zhang Li's explanation, the first emperor could see his underlying meaning. With the idle man's death, his harems could do as they pleased without worrying about the idle man's opinions. To some in the harem, this was a form of liberation. Chapter 762, Walking in the Parallel World. Inside the Imperial Palace, human Emperor Bai Hongtu, Zhang Li, the first emperor, sage of Confucius, Buddha, and origin ancestor were sitting together, discussing their next course of action. Although Bai Hongtu was in the Mahayana realm, he was the weakest among them. He knew that the sage of Confucius, Buddha, and origin ancestor agreed to sit and discuss with him at the center due to their respect for Zhang Li. This is the law promulgated by the first emperor. Bai Hongtu can modify it, shorten the legislation time. These are the coordinates of the 10,000 realms given by Goddess Hutu. The ones marked red are already destroyed, and the ones marked blue are the ones that still have life. After solving the interior problems of Jojo, I ask you to send people to rescue the realms. Bai Hongtu carefully put away the coordinates. This was a matter related to the survival of the 10,000 realms and needed to be handled carefully. With matters settled here, it's time for me to leave. Zhang Li said with a smile. Bai Hongtu was startled. You're leaving already? After all, this is your world. The task of establishing order requires your efforts. Every parallel world has its features. If I intervene personally, all parallel worlds would become the same. Losing uniqueness is ultimately not the right path. Moreover, there are other worlds that need to be saved. I have only saved your world and the First Emperor's world so far. Many more worlds need help. First Emperor, what are your plans? The First Emperor replied with a cold face, I will go to other parallel worlds. I don't believe I can't beat a heavenly Tao. Then, choose with whom you will go. The First Emperor didn't understand Zhang Li's meaning. If so, then it's time for us to say goodbye. Zhang Li bid farewell with a bow. Zhang Li flew into the air, and with his palm as a knife, he drew hundreds of pathways to different parallel worlds. Establishment of the Three Pure Land. Establishment of the Three Pure Land. Establishment of the Three Pure Land. Hundreds of Zhongli appeared. Even the sage of Confucius and the oldest among them were awestruck, having never seen such a spectacle before. They had never heard of the establishment of the Three Pure Land technique being used repeatedly. The first emperor, he couldn't duplicate Zhongli's ability to repeat the establishment of the Three Pure Land. The first emperor could only silently choose a path and see what the world on the other side was like. Zhongli used the establishment of the Three Pure Land as a last resort. If he had to search each world one by one, all parallel worlds would have been destroyed by the time the black tide would come, and these worlds wouldn't have even the time to establish order. Zhongli traveled to one parallel world after another, taking in different scenes. According to the heavenly Tao, only one world was created by Taichu. However, under the influence of the confluence of possibilities, different parallel worlds emerged due to significant divergence in certain events. For example, Zhongli saw the successful rebellion of the immortal Emperor Chong, Tao ancestor preaching to the heavens and transforming the barbarians into Buddhas, the hard-working goddess Hutu, and Origin ancestor reversing time for her loved one. Under the influence of these major events, the 10,000 realms and JoJo have also undergone various changes. The identities and experiences of people such as Bai Hongtu, Yu Yin, Pure Heart Saintess, long-lived immortal elder, have undergone changes that shock Zhongli's beliefs. Zhongli's previous life was the same. After crossing over, the tasks of the counterattack system were similarly identical. The first task was definitely to thwart Zhang Yixing, then pretend to be a pig to eat the tiger, slap faces, establish a harem, learn the 100 skills of cultivation, become the human emperor, become the supreme primordial immortal and so on. Zhongli also saw that in one parallel world, after he became an immortal, Ji Kongkong was born earlier to take on the role of the next human emperor and carry the banner of JoJo. Each parallel world has its uniqueness, and Zhongli needed to unravel it thread by thread to find the fastest way to establish order. Among these, the cases where he cooperated with Ji Kongkong were the most frequent. Zhongli traveled through the parallel worlds, revealed the truth about the world's destruction by the heavenly Tao, and the ways to resolve the black tide. He was like a god walking among humans. Every parallel world held his footprints, his silhouette, and the legend of him saving the world. Last time, the story told of how human Emperor Zhang casually wiped out the immortal realm, calmed the catastrophe, and brought everlasting peace to the 10,000 realms. Human Emperor Zhang concerns himself with all under heaven. Beyond JoJo lie the 10,000 realms, and beyond the 10,000 realms lie the parallel worlds. In the parallel worlds, the immortal realm still wreaks havoc. Therefore, human Emperor Zhang set out for the parallel worlds. The immortal realm of the parallel world didn't recognize the might of human Emperor Zhang and resisted heroically, refusing to obey. Zhang cut down the path, killed the immortals with one cold sword, and was revered as Sword Emperor by the parallel world's people. The storyteller on the stage spoke eloquently, attracting the attention of the crowd below, including a little girl. "Princess, we have important matters. The Emperor sent you to JoJo to study its advanced experiences, not to listen to stories." The attendant persuaded the young princess, wanting her to go to places like the Imperial Palace, Dao Sect, and Zhou Dynasty. They came from a cultivation world ruled by a sect. With JoJo's help, they had already completed the transformation from survival of the fittest to the rule of law. "Isn't listening to stories here also part of studying in JoJo?" the princess argued. After hearing the description of Zhongli in the tales of human Emperor Zhang, she was deeply moved, thinking that there could be no greater hero. The attendant changed her approach and said, "It has been 9 years since human Emperor Zhang left for the parallel worlds. According to JoJo's official statement, human Emperor Zhang should return soon. If you go to the Imperial Palace now, you might just meet the human Emperor." This argument worked. The princess's eyes lit up. But just as she was about to head to the Imperial Palace, someone stopped her. "Look, you don't understand human Emperor Zhang. Why would he be in the Imperial Palace? I think the princess, you might have a higher chance of meeting human Emperor Zhang among the common people." The person who spoke was lazy and lackluster. His outstanding looks could easily lure unruly young masters, but in the current JoJo, those unruly young masters had already been disciplined by their fathers. The attendant glared at this person. Ever since the princess befriended this person, she enjoyed wandering around and forgot the emperor's instructions. But the attendant didn't dare to say much more. This person was on good terms with the princess and, given that this was JoJo, where powerful figures were common, this person could potentially be a person of great significance. "Sister Hutu, do you know the human emperor?" He and I are friends who faced life and death together, Sister Hutu claimed, earning admiring looks from the little princess. Really? The princess asked excitedly. Sister Hutu had never revealed this before. The two female attendants looked at Sister Hutu with disbelief. Zhang Li was a person of importance who had never experienced the threat of death. How could he possibly have a friend who shared life and death experiences with him? I never lie. Chapter 763, Years. Your world has already established order, there's no need to rush towards higher goals. Right now, the most important thing is to maintain and reinforce that existing order. If you run too fast, you might trip and fall, Sister Mother Earth said with a laugh. Her smile was infectious, making people instinctively believe her words. A man eating a candied hawthorn stick strolled into the tea house and spotted the lively Sister Mother Earth. Mother Earth, it's been a few years since we last met. How come you're still in Juzhou? Zhang Li remembered 9 years ago when he asked Mother Earth to go to Juzhou and let everyone know that he was going to a parallel world, and that they should not worry. But now 9 years have passed, Mother Earth is still in Juzhou. Who is in charge of the underworld now? Well, I told them that you would return after 9 years. What if you didn't return on time? Shouldn't I be responsible and keep my word? Mother Earth said sincerely. Zhang Li looked at Mother Earth with suspicion, suspecting that she simply did not want to return to the underworld. Has the matter in the parallel world come to an end? Things are pretty much wrapped up. It was quite an eye-opener. Zhang Li puckered up his mouth. What is this about the parallel world in the Chronicles of Emperor Zhang? He hadn't returned ever since all these years. How could anyone know what he had experienced in the parallel world? You should never underestimate the power of people's imagination. No wonder these tales seem so strange. It turns out they're all made up. Zhang Li usually never doubted the power of people's imagination, otherwise there wouldn't be so many volumes of the Chronicles of Emperor Zhang, all of which were written with the utmost certainty that they were depicting his genuine experiences. Zhang Li almost thought that he was the one suffering from a significant memory issue. Sister Mother Earth, who is this burly man? The two communicated through divine sense, something the young princess couldn't comprehend. Mother Earth didn't say anything, implying that Zhang Li should introduce himself. My name is Zhang Li. Mother Earth sported an expression as if she understood why. She didn't introduce Zhang Li because she didn't know what surname he goes by now. This is the young princess from the spiral world, visiting Juzhou for gastronomy and learning. Welcome, welcome. For some unknown reason, the young princess felt privileged upon hearing Lu Li's welcome. Let's go on. You've seen enough of the Chronicles of Emperor Zhang. If we try to finish each part, the young princess here will grow into a queen. Mother Earth called out to the young princess and Zhang Li. Tremendous changes had taken place in Juzhou in these 9 years, even Zhang Li wasn't as familiar with the current Juzhou as Mother Earth was. On the way, Zhang Li saw many people from other worlds. Some were tourists, some were adventurers, and some were learners, all with different purposes. All of them were fluent in the language of Juzhou, haggling with street vendors. Juzhou does not force dwellers of other worlds to learn its language. However, if people from other worlds want to gain advanced experiences, they should proactively learn the language of Juzhou. Take a look, take a look. Massive sale for body integration realm cultivation techniques, buy 3, get 2 for free, we have all types. The vendor's shout attracted the young princess's attention. Body integration realm cultivation techniques are rare in their world. Without rigorous evaluations, one does not even have a chance to look at them. Unexpectedly, Juzhou has these military manuals even at roadside stalls. The accompanying guards have a high cultivation level. They flipped through some of the manuals and found out that they are all genuine and the types are indeed all-encompassing. How much? 10 low-grade spirit stones per manual, buy 3 get 2 free. It's so cheap. The guards' eyes lit up, they couldn't help wanting to buy everything from the stall. If they took all these manuals back home, it would be a great achievement. Mother Earth sneered. Don't buy these. These are the nascent versions of body integration realm cultivation techniques, intended to swindle tourists like you. These techniques have been updated with countless revisions to remedy their weaknesses ever since they have been made public, so these current copies are saddled with anachronisms. If you want to buy any, go to a standard place. The guards immediately stopped, thanking Mother Earth for the reminder. The spirit stones for buying all the manuals were not much, but being deceived would be considered disgraceful. After walking a few steps further, Mother Earth took a jade pendant from a booth and handed it to the young princess. If you want to take some souvenirs back, this is not a bad choice. What is this? Infuse it with some spiritual energy and try. The young princess did as instructed. Countless points of light appeared in midair, like stars in the night sky. Thin light beams connected the dots, one of which was peculiar. It was the brightest and largest, serving as the convergence point of all light beams. This is the map of all the heavenly domains and myriad realms. The brightest spot represents Juzhou, and as for your world, it's right here. Mother Earth helped the young princess locate the position of their world. Mother Earth gently tapped on the light point, which expanded, revealing the full view of the young princess's world. Only Juzhou has the ability to produce this map. Every tourist to Juzhou will buy a copy as a souvenir, said the vendor standing aside. The ones I sell are all authentic products from the Imperial Palace. Mother Earth bought one and gave it to the young princess. Next, Mother Earth brought everyone to a school where an educator was teaching the innocent student chanting cultivation techniques. What they are chanting is the 5 elements Qi cultivation verse upper volume, which was personally formulated by Emperor Zhang. This technique has raised the standard for common people in Juzhou from the 3rd layer of Qi cultivation to the 6th layer. The young princess and the escorts had noticed earlier on that the cultivation level of the people in Juzhou was incredibly high. The very minimum was the 6th layer of Qi cultivation. This, in their world, would qualify them to become elders in minor sects, yet here in Juzhou, they were just ordinary citizens. Upper volume, what about the middle and lower volumes? The young princess asked. Zhang Li chuckled, they exist, they're just not released yet. During his time in the parallel world, he learned the complete method of 3-corpse severance from the great Taoist, thereby deriving the middle and lower volumes of the 5 elements Qi cultivation verse. If these techniques could be propagated, the standards for ordinary people in Juzhou would be elevated to the foundation establishment stage. On hearing this, Mother Earth was quite astounded. She glanced at Zhang Li, then instantly guessed what he must have gone through. Mother Earth was a qualified tour guide. She introduced the customs and changes in Juzhou thoroughly to the young princess. Not just the young princess, even the escorts fell under the spell of her narration. Zhang Li wore a consistent smile, staying silent, merely listening attentively. The progress of Juzhou and the myriad realms were even better than he had imagined. Zhang Li cast his divine sense all over the city, and found that the rate of criminal activities was extremely low. Everyone abided by the law. This place was no longer the Zhou dynasty, but was once the tumultuous Tianyuan Emperor dynasty. Yu Yin has done a good job. Zhang Li gave a stretch and bid farewell to Mother Earth. Mother Earth, I am going back to the Imperial Palace. Go ahead, go ahead. Mother Earth foresaw Zhang Li saying this. Watching Zhang Li's figure vanish in an instant, the stuttering young princess asked, Sister Mother Earth, who exactly is that man? She clearly heard him saying that he wanted to check on the Imperial Palace. Him, oh, he is Zhang Li. Mother Earth responded with a smile. What? Chapter 764, Conference of All Heavens and 10,000 Realms level. Inside the Imperial Palace, within the space temporarily opened up by the Brahma Tower, the representatives of various worlds gathered, amounting to 100,000 individuals. The once bilateral friendly treaty has now evolved into the 10,000 Realms Friendly Treaty, with these 100,000 worlds being signatory members. 100,000 worlds might seem a lot, but compared to the number in the multiverse, it's still far too few. There are millions of worlds in the multiverse, and after the devastation by the immortal realm, barely 1 out of 10 survived. Bai Hongtu set up a large formation to temporarily unify the language within the Imperial Palace. In this way, everything spoken by anyone would be automatically translated into the Zhou language. People from different worlds, on hearing it, would have it auto-translated into their own world's language. Every time we come to Zhou, it feels like Zhou is just too powerful. Our world has just begun interstellar colonization, yet Zhou already treats planets like toys, playing with them at will, even able to move continents, making them the centers of the world. Indeed, there are hundreds of individuals at the body integration realm, not to mention those at the transcendence tribulation stage, immortals, and the Mahayana realm. Even the mythical immortal realm can't compare to Zhou. Stories of the immortal realm are present in all realms, showing its great power, unmatched in a place all living beings aspire to. Who doesn't want to become an immortal? What took the multiverse by surprise was when Zhou found them and informed them that the immortal realm had actually fallen, and it was all Zhou's doing. Many were skeptical about such an outrageous claim at first. However, as they began to understand Zhou and learned much more information, they realized it was the truth. Zhou had become so powerful that it was beyond their imagining. What was even more valuable was that Jojo always maintained an equal and friendly interaction, never intimidating them. Their human emperor Zhongli could freely traverse parallel worlds to save other worlds. Such magnanimity earned their respect and made them willingly submit to Jojo, voluntarily choosing to hold Jojo in highest regard. The phrase, Jojo is supreme, was never explicitly stated nor directly expressed, but it gained implicit acceptance across the multiverse and became a consensus. Before the meeting, representatives from various worlds spoke to each other, broadened their horizons, and looked for opportunities to cooperate. In the past 10 years, all worlds were diligently building their order, with no time for diplomacy. As the order plan nears its end, it's finally time to deal with other matters. Taking Jojo as the primary cooperation partner and collaborating with other worlds as a consensus is the fastest way to progress, the mainstream of future development. Mr. Ming Zhang, I heard that your world was the first to be explored by Zhongli. And also the first to cooperate with Jojo, with the Dao sect responsible for the liaison. Ming Zhang's identity card was placed on the table, quickly attracting the attention of several politicians. Using his name as the name of the world, being the first friend Zhongli made in the other worlds, and most importantly, the Ming Zhang world was highly developed and had reached the bottleneck of world development. But with the establishment of relations with Jojo, the Ming Zhang world gained new momentum and developed rapidly. Cultivation University, Bi-Realm Joint Factory, Tax Exemption Building, Cultivation Technology Research Center, World Port. Each of these could bring a world-changing development, let alone all of them introduced at the same time. It's obvious how greatly Ming Zhang world has benefited. The development of later technological worlds has more or less referred to the experience of the Ming Zhang world. The newly established Cultivation World Development Studies even listed a decade of Ming Zhang world's development journey as compulsory reading. Ah, the Ming Zhang world, I must visit it if I have a chance. Buddha Master Wuji in the distance laughed, a reminiscing look in his eyes. It was Dao Sect Master using Wuji's body to speak. Immortal Master Chongsheng directed his attention, he already knew that it was his master within Wuji. Master was going to visit his own body. What a peculiar interest. Chongsheng, Master, I'm here. I never asked you before, but tell me, how did you come up with the Mahayana realm, and even let young Zhongli practice it successfully? Grumble, help me think what the realm following the primordial ultimate immortal stage should be called. Upon hearing this topic, Confucian Saint leaned in slightly, interested in what Immortal Master Chongsheng was going to say. Under the gaze of Dao Sect Master on his left and Confucian Saint on his right, Immortal Master Chongsheng felt immense pressure. He was really not good at making up stories. Mr. Luo Ying, Miss Luo Zhu, we meet again. Thank you both for saving our world, sparing us from the disaster of the immortal realm. So it is Mr. Luo Ying and Miss Luo Zhu, nice to meet you. The Luo siblings, Luo Ying and Luo Zhu, have also captured everyone's attention, being personally tutored by the human emperor Zhongli for 6 months, which demonstrated Zhongli's emphasis on the siblings. Both of them are candidates for human emperor, which is a rare occurrence in the history of human emperor candidates. Even if they can't be candidates for the human emperor, their achievements in the immortal path will be admired by most of the world. Not to mention they have saved countless worlds and have a very high reputation in the 10,000 realms. Brother, where is the chairman of our world? Why have us host the meeting? Luo Zhu frowned, not liking to be surrounded by a group of people. Despite these people all wanting to have good relationships with them, the chairman thinks he'd be unrecognized if he came, and thought it would be better for us to come, so we can establish good relationships with other worlds. Luo Ying sighed, looking quite helpless. Secretly rolling his eyes, he then continued to communicate with the dignitaries of all walks of life. Luo Zhu bowed his head, chatting with Ji Kongkong who was still in Zhou on the photon computer. Many people also gathered around the great Grand Master of Martial Arts, Bi Yujing, hoping to connect with his Ring Universe world. Bi Yujing, on his own, improved the limit of martial arts from being able to fight at the nascent soul stage to the body integration stage. His talent is terrifying. Many worlds chose to learn both the immortal path and martial arts at the same time, hoping to become stronger. When it came to martial arts, Bi Yujing was a peak that could not be bypassed. There are even people who privately call Bi Yujing the revitalizer of martial arts, and the Ring Universe world is showing a trend of becoming a new origin of martial arts. Hearing the audience highly praising his martial arts, Bi Yujing was lost in thought. Without Mr. Zhang, I might have died in the basement long ago, watching the 12 kings destroy the world, and unable to rest in peace, he replied. Bi Yujing shook his head with a smile. Who could have thought that he would achieve such greatness today? The father of the martial arts alliance hierarch, his younger brother, and he himself, none of them could have anticipated it. Thanks to Mr. Zhang, Yu Feng, as the representative of the ancient world, was also attending the meeting. To establish order in the ancient world, he temporarily withdrew from the human emperor candidacy. After the heavenly monarch sacrificed the cultivators, there were only him and Wu Lian left in the immortal realm of the ancient world. Considering that ordinary people hastily gaining power could bring chaos to the world, Yu Feng decided to make the method of cultivation public after the Black Sea tides had passed. All the sects of Zhou have visited the ancient world and have left challenges and heritages. Once the method of cultivation is open, the ancient world will become a new cultivation world quickly. Yu Feng has learned from dozens of sects, knows all kinds of cultivation arts, which provides necessary help for establishing order in the ancient world. Next to the old Draco sat a woman named Qing, who was Little Qing from the Lingxi world. Little Qing had blood ties to Dragonkind and was recognized by the Four Seas Dragon tribe. The old Draco represented the Four Seas and allowed Little Qing to sit next to him, intending to take care of Little Qing. White Snow Spirit saw Little Qing and started to feel nostalgic. Today's Lingxi world has become a place where the demon race and the human race coexist in peace, apart from the Bai's Empire. It's a pity that the first generation Bai's Emperor couldn't see this. Cough, cough. Bai Hongtu coughed once, then strutted onto the stage with a towering spirit. The meeting starts now. Is this the rumored sect master Bai who reached the Mahayana realm with just 9 years of cultivation? There are too many worlds, and many power holders of various worlds haven't met Bai Hongtu yet. Upon meeting him now, he is truly extraordinary. Bai Hongtu surveyed the crowd below the stage, hearing their praises of himself, and feeling inwardly pleased. The 9th year without Zhang Li, how nice, not missing him at all. Without Zhang Li, he was free and unfettered in Zhou, no one could control him, otherwise he wouldn't have been able to be the host of today's meeting. Although nobody called him the White Human Emperor, he could call himself the White Human Emperor. I, the White Human Emperor, have finally arrived at this day. Chapter 765, I, Bai Hongtu, have no tomorrow. Yu Yin, who was sitting with her legs crossed, was shaking her jade foot out of boredom. She rolled her eyes at Bai Hongtu, who was looking serious. It was clear without guessing, despite Bai Hongtu's serious appearance, he was busier inside than anyone else. Maybe he was even calling himself Bai Human Emperor. However, it must be said that Bai Hongtu had done an excellent job over the past few years. Everything was going on in an orderly manner. On the stage, Bai Hongtu solemnly declared, after 10 years of hard work, a standard order has finally been established in all the worlds. The 3 masters of the observer civilization have set up cameras in every world and have not found any traces of the black tide. This shows that the method of order is effective. Bai Hongtu conjured a large chart, which recorded the occurrences of the black tide. It can be seen that the occurrence of the black tide has gradually decreased over the years. It has not appeared at all in the most recent year. Everyone can proceed without worry about the threat of the black tide. There was thunderous applause from below the stage. Bai Hongtu went over the past, summarized the present, and looked to the future on the stage. His speech was quite sophisticated, unlike anything he could have said. After all, it was written by General Liu. After Bai Hongtu finished speaking, representatives from several realms came to the stage to speak. The meeting went on methodically according to the rules. When the closing ceremony ended and decision-makers left the imperial palace, they started looking for potential cooperators to discuss specific cooperation plans. Don't leave, everyone from Jojo. Bai Hongtu stopped the crowd. There's no other agenda for keeping you here other than discussing the preparations upon Zhang Li's return after being scared away by my advancement to the Mahayana realm 9 years ago. Should we arrange a festival, like a candied fruit festival? Should we collect all versions of the biography of Zhang, the human emperor, as a gift for Zhang Li? Should we organize a welcome ceremony? Li proposed, thinking it was a good idea. My union sect can prepare a performance. My 4-Sea Dragon Palace will prepare one too. Everyone was discussing enthusiastically, eagerly discussing the welcome ceremony. But nobody even mentioned the idea Bai Hongtu wanted. These are all important, but they can be postponed. The pressing matter is to figure out a way to defeat Zhang Li. Bai Hongtu angrily slammed the table. We've been holding resolute battle against Zhang Li meetings every year for a decade now, and we haven't made any progress. Look at the ideas you've come up with. Can anyone really pull these off? Use tritium to attack Zhang Li stealthily. Write a Bai Hongtu Sect Masters book, and let the cultivators who practice Bai Hongtu Sect Masters defeat the cultivators who practice Zhang Emperor's power. Have a celery eating contest with Zhang Li. He doesn't like to eat it, but does that mean I do? Or compete with Zhang Li in imagination? Does he even have a brain? The place for his brain is full of holes. Can we win this? Can't you think of anything better? Don't you find these suggestions embarrassing? Everyone shook their heads in unison. Finding a way to defeat Zhang Li was a really strange idea, wasn't it? Has this youngster always been so bold? The Red Dust Fairy was attending the resolute battle against Zhang Li meeting for the first time. She didn't know that the next generation was so ready to challenge the powerful. After the disappearance of Heavenly Dao's beauty, the Red Dust Fairy could leave Red Dust Pure Land at will. Now she was a well-known broadcaster in the 10,000 realms, teaching everyone to control their desires. Pure Heart Saintess nodded. The Dao sect senior once said that as a sect master, you should challenge the powerful. If Bai Hongtu can defeat Zhang Li, the senior is willing to give the title of Dao Ancestor to Bai Hongtu. Is he just simply stirring the pot? Dao Ancestor nodded at the lively juniors. Yes, it's more fun when they fight. Gigi said, we really tried our best. I went back to the past through the time Dao to defeat Zhang Li by fighting the weak from the strong. I didn't expect Zhang Li to live forever and couldn't exploit any loopholes through the time Dao. Bai Hongtu waved his hand. Your logic is wrong. If you can go back to the past, why can't you go to the future? Get future Zhang Li here and use him to defeat Zhang Li. Are you sure the future Zhang Li would fight against himself and not you? Gigi questioned. Who else has any other ideas? Bai Hongtu kept asking. Seeing that everyone was silent, Bai Hongtu began to encourage, do not lose hope. We once thought that only Zhang Li could reach the Mahayana realm, but look at me and Yu Yin, haven't we also reached Mahayana realm? If Yu Yin and I joined forces, 2 Mahayana realms against 1 Mahayana realm, we still have a chance to win. Yu Yin expressionlessly said, we once thought Zhang Li had already perfected the Mahayana realm. Bai Hongtu glared at Yu Yin, the person who was lowering morale. She had been sabotaging since the human emperor selection. Yu Yin pretended not to see Bai Hongtu's glare. In fact, there's a way to defeat Zhang Li. The exciting news from the corner made Bai Hongtu tremble. He didn't expect someone would finally stand up to support him. What's the way? You could find a Mahayana realm who has practiced for 300 years, they can challenge Zhang Li to a standstill. Is there such a person? Bai Hongtu was extremely excited. Yes, I am one. The person who spoke revealed his true identity. It turned out to be Zhang Li. Let's go. Wait for me, let's go together. Everyone hurriedly fled. Bai Hongtu's meeting was unreliable, and they'd been caught by Zhang Li again. For a while, only a few mischief makers were left in the imperial palace. Such as Dao Zhu, Confucius, Red Dust Fairy, Destiny Taoist who was waiting for the news headlines, Gigi who knew about this but wanted to watch again, and Yu Yin who was going to pick up Bai Hongtu's corpse. Bai Hongtu squeezed out a smile and said, Zhang, bro, you're back. I was just discussing a welcome plan with everyone. Your return was so sudden that everyone wasn't prepared and went home to get things. I have to go back as well. Zhang Li slapped Bai Hongtu's shoulder hard, causing Bai Hongtu's shoulder to slant. Little two, you've worked hard over these years. Let me see what you've learned. The 5 senses receiving mirror that was broadcasted in numerous homes was reporting the weather forecast. After dinner, listening to the weather forecast has become a habit. Tonight and tomorrow, there will be moderate rain followed by clearing up. The temperature will be between 16 and 30 degrees, there is a large gap between day and night, please keep warm sorry, please wait a moment. The female cultivator on the 5 senses receiving mirror took a break and took the paper handed over by the disciple of the Sky Mechanism Tower. There has been a change in the weather forecast. Tonight and tomorrow, there will be a war between the Mahayana and then clear up. The temperature is uncertain, please keep warm. That night, the expected rainfall disappeared in Zhang Li and Bai Hongtu's confrontation. That night, people of Jojo and representatives from various realms saw Bai Hongtu getting beaten up. Chapter 766, Still Qualified. The battle between 2 Mahayana realm practitioners was truly spectacular, as countless cultivators tilted their heads to the sky, hoping to catch a glimpse of Bai Hongtu's final moments. Bai Hongtu was severely beaten. In front of Zhang Li, his 9 years of Mahayana realm cultivation were practically negligible. My disciple is lacking. If I were to take his place, overpowering the stronger with the weak would have been quite simple, spoke the Tao sect founder, in a confident manner. Saint of Confucianism glanced at him once again, remembering his words when he, the Tao sect founder, met the respected God hidden, only to be killed later by him. Zhang Li did not truly deal a fatal blow and was merciful, leaving Bai Hongtu's life intact. Ah, It hurts so much, Bai Hongtu groaned on the ground in misery. Let me tell you about some things I've encountered these past few years. Upon hearing this, Bai Hongtu stopped playing the victim and quickly refreshed himself. Yu Yin, Immortal Eternal, Red Dust Fairy, Confucian Saint, and the Tao Ancestor all gathered around, everyone except for Gigi. You don't have to reiterate for me, I have already learned about it through the path of time, there is no need to hear it again. Get lost, we don't need you to hear it anyway. Bai Hongtu shooed Gigi away and urged Zhongli to start his tale. Zhongli chuckled and began narrating his experiences of the past 9 years, from the world of the first emperor to the world of the layman and the myriad of parallel worlds. His narrative didn't need to be adorned with extravagant descriptions, the pure simplicity of his narrative was enough to captivate everyone. Even though the first emperor still had that arrogant demeanor, his killing intent has significantly lessened. After returning him back to his original world, I came back. These parallel worlds that you've dipped your toes in are quite diverse. They seem to have everything. Bai Hongtu expressed his deep interest in the concept of parallel worlds. In some worlds, Bai Hongtu chose to follow the Buddhist way, successfully skewing the monastic path. While in others, Bai Hongtu became a low-IQ Tao sect walker, serving as an ideal punchline. Poor idle man, he pushed me into the position of human emperor in his parallel world. But even after achieving his desired position as human emperor, he doesn't seem too thrilled. Yu Yin expressed disdain for her parallel self. How foolish, she shifted from her original self for the sake of love. How can one advance on the path of immortality with such an attitude? Of course, the existence of the system was mentioned in the process as well. Bai Hongtu suddenly realized something. I was wondering why you always behaved so strangely, frequently visiting secret realms and participating in competitions. So, it was all because of the system tasks. Yu Yin looked at Bai Hongtu with surprise. Wasn't it normal for Zhongli to cause havoc in various secret realms under a pseudonym? Why did Bai Hongtu find it strange? It seemed that she was still not able to sync up with the thought process of Zhongli and Bai Hongtu, and she was unable to detect any of Zhongli's abnormal behaviors. She decided to push on. During my time in the parallel world, I found out from the heavenly Tao there that the system was created jointly by the heavenly Taos of other worlds. They even made one each for me and the first emperor. It's a shame that the timing wasn't right, said Zhongli. During his time in the parallel world, Zhongli was finally able to identify the originator of the system, revealing who he has to thank. To express his gratitude, Zhongli didn't easily annihilate that heavenly Tao. Instead, he let the first emperor battle, allowing the heavenly Tao to fall in a spectacular manner. The Tao ancestor contemplated for a moment before speaking. This is interesting. Based on your description, I think I understand the principle behind this thing. Confucian Saint, Wu Ji, your mana is limited. Can you create a simplified version of the system as I instruct? The Confucian Saint nodded. He too was proficient in all aspects of cultivation. Or rather, those who have cultivated to the level of the primordial chaos immortal are proficient in all aspects of cultivation. The Confucian Saint wielded his brush, and with ink transformed into mana, he continuously changed forms. Eventually, the ink lost its color, turning into a milky white light, which entered Bai Hongtu's body. A voice echoed in Bai Hongtu's ear. System activation in progress. Host, do you wish to activate it? Can this beat Zhongli? Asked Bai Hongtu excitedly. The host has chosen to give up activating the system. Thank you for your use. See you again. The milky white light left Bai Hongtu's body in a neat and decisive manner. So, it's just this kind of thing. Tao sect founder said, who wants a system? I could have the Confucian Saint make one for you. Everyone shook their head, thinking the system was not very useful. Bai Hongtu, the system you want, the Confucian Saint can't create. Miss Yu Yin, would you like a queen system? Yu Yin shook her head. Red Dust Fairy, would you like the 10,000 Realms live broadcast system? Red Dust Fairy also shook her head. Miss Pure Heart, do you need a love system? Pure Heart Saintess shook her head vehemently. She wanted to earn love through her own efforts. Immortal Eternal, you don't need it either, your mouth is more useful than any system. Tao Ancestor asked around, but no one needed a system. Unwilling to give up, Tao Ancestor muttered to himself, such a fun thing, why doesn't anyone want it? Oh well, when I get the chance, I'll build a system and throw it into the diverse heavens to see who gets it. After talking about the issues related to the parallel world, Zhongli stretched lazily and thereafter proceeded to the point where the earth veins were located. The mighty river of Lan Yingying flowed beneath the 9 provinces. Casually dipping his hand into it, he could vaguely see the wishes of the multitude ingrained in the water. Not only the wishes of the people of the 9 provinces, but also the wishes of people from the 10,000 realms. Old friend, compared to the time I just ascended the throne of the human emperor, you've grown a lot, Zhongli said to the river. On the surface, the earth veins only exist in the 9 provinces, but as someone who represents the earth veins, Zhongli was very clear about the earth vein condition. The earth veins now stretched across the endless void, linking the 10,000 realms. The earth veins are no longer the earth veins of the 9 provinces, but the earth veins of the 10,000 realms. After the earth veins have grown, they've become more ethereal and elusive, as if they were about to disappear at any moment. Zhongli knew this meant that the earth veins, which were initially the heavenly Tao in their fledgling state, were transforming into the true heavenly Tao, although the process would be incredibly lengthy. Or in other words, once the earth veins have completely transformed, they should be referred to as human Tao. Zhongli smiled as he looked at the earth veins. Through them, he felt as if he could see the past human emperors. As a human emperor, I think I did a pretty good job. The threat from the extraterrestrial demons has been eliminated, the 9 provinces are flourishing, and our overall strength has increased manifold. The 10,000 realms have also established friendly relations with the 9 provinces, the order has been established, and the dark tides are no longer a threat. Zhongli listed the achievements during his tenure as human emperor, feeling quite satisfied with his performance. That said, there were also areas where he underperformed. After all, he was not a saint, and there were aspects that he hadn't considered thoroughly. Now, that's enough. Leave some work for the next human emperor. Emperor Shun, is it time? A calm voice came from behind Zhongli. Yes, the dark tide has already penetrated the river of time. At the location of the earth veins, only the human emperor should be able to enter, but in the face of the river of time, any place is accessible and no formation can stop it. Then let's go. Emperor Shun opened a door and invited Zhongli in. Zhongli once again stood before the river of time. His world was not afraid of the threat of the dark tide because the preparatory work done by the 9 provinces was very comprehensive. However, other parallel worlds didn't have this kind of preparation. Yes, they had established order, but whether they could resist the dark tide remained an unknown. To be safe, it would be best to deal with the dark tide at the convergence of possibilities. Chapter 767, Dispersing the Dark Tide. Downstream of the Time River, a thick black tide slanted from above, gradually spreading to the past and future, wiping out all the timelines, and in turn destroying the 10,000 realms, leaving no entity in existence. Zhongli, the only way to reach the possibility convergence place is through the opening from where the black tide is slanting. For this, we need to first make contact with the black tide. Encountering the black tide means destruction, something no one else can accomplish. Emperor Shun looked at the black tide not far away, a look of fear appearing on his face. After he gained consciousness in the Time River, he was the first to detect the existence of the black tide. He had tried everything, eventually thinking of fighting chaos with order. He established the Great Zhou, proving the feasibility of this method. Due to the existence of the black tide, the future had become invisible. Emperor Shun didn't know whether he could solve the black tide. All he could do was to exert his utmost effort to resist it. Zhongli walked towards the black tide. Zhongli, be careful. After all, the black tide represents the embodiment of the rule of destruction. If you act rashly and retreat, the 10,000 realms will no longer fear the black tide. This was Zhongli's first contact with the black tide. Previously, he had either seen it in video recordings or learned about it from someone else's description. During the 9 years he spent in the parallel world, he also had no contact with the black tide. The black tide is extremely concentrated, like a cluster of gel, highly elastic. Zhongli tentatively reached his hand in. It was cold. The black tide did not devour him. It seems that the black tide devours everything, and its interior temperature is absolute zero. Even a heavenly immortal wouldn't be threatened by absolute zero, let alone Zhongli. Zhongli hesitated no more and walked into the black tide. The black tide devours both light and sound, preventing the outside world from seeing or hearing any movement from within. From Emperor Shun's perspective, it looked as if Zhongli had been thoroughly swallowed by the black tide. He must be all right, Emperor Shun murmured to himself. He had never been this nervous before. Inside the black tide, Zhongli tried to extend his divine sense, but it was rapidly devoured. Is my body alone exempt from the fear of the black tide? In front of Zhongli was pitch blackness, he couldn't see anything. He could only rely on his senses to find the vent. Luckily, Zhongli had good luck. He found a crack which undoubtedly must be the vent. Zhang Li passed through the vent and reached a place no one had ever been before. Zhang Li could confirm, this place was the possibility convergence place. Unlike being in the time river, being in the possibility convergence place, Zhang Li felt all possibilities. He could develop into any kind of possibility. This feeling was very strange and something Zhang Li had never experienced before. He could become the first emperor or a bystander or a heavenly immortal with just a thought. He could become any version of himself he saw in the parallel world. Zhang Li chuckled lightly. He didn't use the thought to become another version of himself. After eliminating all possibilities, Zhang Li found that his current self was the strongest among all the possible selves. What a pity, none of the possibilities are stronger than my current self. The possibility convergence place was completely swallowed by the black tide. There were no people or objects present. Zhang Li walked in the possibility convergence place without gaining anything. He couldn't infer what the previous possibility convergence place looked like based on the existing things. This must have been a highly developed world, full of strong individuals, where anyone could become the strongest version of themselves. In the 10,000 realms, time is unidirectional and irreversible. In the time river, however, time can be freely traversed. As for the possibility convergence place above the time river, time could also be manipulated at will. So it seems, the thoughts of people in the possibility convergence place would be completely different from those of ordinary people. Zhang Li shook his head, thinking about these things now is pointless. Everyone here had been swallowed by the black tide and couldn't be revived. There were no concepts of life and death here. Once things disappeared, they would never be able to return. It's time to end all of this. Zhang Li's gaze was firm as he slowly closed his eyes. A bright light appeared on his forehead, breaking through the darkness of the possibility convergence place, as if the entire space was trembling. A holy glow emitted from Zhang Li's body, making him appear like an omnipotent deity, a sight that demanded veneration. The holy light transformed into intricate and beautiful runes, converging in Zhang Li's palm to form a symbol. This was a symbol that Zhang Li had never revealed before. It originated from the Tao but surpassed it. It was a move belonging to Zhang Li alone, incapable of being imitated. Zhang Li softly named the symbol, the primordial seal. Although the black tide could swallow sound, when Zhang Li uttered these three words, it seemed as though some supernatural force repelled the black tide, preventing it from swallowing the sound. The name of the primordial seal floated under the sky of the possibility convergence place. The primordial seal emerged, divine light shining, filling the sky. The black tide bubbled like boiling water. Wherever the primordial seal passed, the black tide disappeared like evil spirits upon meeting the divine light. What is primordial? The beginning is primordial. The function of the primordial seal is to forcibly return everything to its original state. As the black tide originated from nothingness, its original state was naturally nothingness. Zhang Li had studied the primordial seal tirelessly, all for this moment. Zhang Li noted that as soon as the black tide disappeared, new black tide appeared quickly in that location. It seems that the black tide has transformed the possibility into inevitability, making the possibility of the black tide in the possibility convergence place a necessity. If I want to solve the problem thoroughly, I have to deal with all the black tide at once. Interesting. Zhang Li floated up in the air. Below his feet appeared infinite runes. The golden runes radiated around Zhang Li as the center, spreading to unknown distances. Zhang Li released all his spiritual power, letting it flow into the runes beneath his feet. The runes evolved further, seeking to explore the end of the possibility convergence place. It's not enough, still not enough. Zhang Li laughed loudly, continually releasing spiritual energy. He had never let his spiritual power lose so completely before. This was a sensation he wasn't going to experience ever again. He had never felt this way when he used the Tai seal against the heavenly Tao before. Still not enough. Then let it come. The primordial seal grew larger and larger, eventually becoming unimaginably huge, occupying the entire possibility convergence place. The magnitude of the possibility convergence place couldn't be described by any known measurements. The primordial seal was like a towering mountain. When it fell, its brilliance was scattered across the possibility convergence place. The black tide kept disappearing. The divine light expelled the darkness, bringing light to the possibility convergence place. Emperor Shun watched the black tide in the time river disbelievingly. The golden light shone from the cracks, illuminating the darkness. The black tide was disappearing in the golden light. Did it succeed? Emperor Shun's voice rose several tones. He rubbed his eyes, making sure the black tide had truly disappeared. He could see the future again. Chapter 768. The Source of the River of Time. Zhongli returned through the gap, which healed itself automatically. The black tide has disappeared, but the rule of destruction still exists. Zhongli knew that unless he became the second Taichu and re-established the rules, the rule of destruction would always exist. The rule of destruction is unpredictable. It could strike any place at any time, once again evolving into a devastating black tide. However, this can be useful, as the existence of the rule of destruction is like a sword dangling over the world's head. In order to prevent the sword from falling, order must continuously be established. Zhongli did not divulge to anyone the potential of eliminating the black tide congregating in certain areas. This consideration was very much part of his planning. Establishing order cannot be achieved overnight. Any relaxation would lead to the collapse of order and starting from scratch again, which is an extremely high price to pay in terms of lives. Emperor Shun nodded, understanding Zhongli's meaning. This might be for the best. It's a pity that the original Yuan Shi seal could solve the black tide. I even studied the True Self seal as an insurance policy, it seems it won't be necessary. The Tai seal, Yuan Shi seal, and True Self seal were the three seals that Zhongli studied. Emperor Shun dared not imagine that, if the Tai seal can obliterate the heavenly Tao and Yuan Shi seal could wipe out the black tide, then what kind of power would the True Self seal possess? Emperor Shun, would you like to try? Emperor Shun vigorously shook his head, indicating that his age would not allow him to withstand the torment. Does the human emperor plan to return to Jojo? Zhongli shook his head gently as he looked upstream of the river of time. No, I want to meet Taichu. Emperor Shun was stunned, only managing to express uncertainty after a moment. Does the human emperor mean to travel against the flow of the river of time, to the birth of time, at the moment when the world was born? That is the idea. Emperor Shun shook his head. It is not possible. The reason Taichu could create the 10,000 realms was that he was the only conscious thought at that time. If the human emperor were to go back, it would break Taichu's uniqueness. Moreover, when the world was born, Taichu had not yet created rules of time. The source of the river of time only appeared at the moment when the rules of time were created. Even if the human emperor were to go back, he would not be able to witness the complete process of creation. Zhongli was somewhat disappointed. However, Emperor Shun seemed to have thought of something. However, what? The creation of the world is the greatest event in existence. Its experience is etched into the world's memory and imprinted near the source of the river of time. However, the imprint is so strong that no one can approach to observe it. But for the human emperor, it should be possible. Does the human emperor wish to see this imprint? Zhongli's eyes lit up. Yes. Then, please come with me. Emperor Shun led Zhongli upstream against the river of time, heading to the source of time. Walking along the bank of the river of time, Zhongli witnessed many great historical events. He went back to 9,000 years ago and saw the heavenly Tao gaining consciousness. The Tao ancestor and heavenly Tao battled, causing chaos throughout the immortal realm. He saw the heavenly Tao split into several avatars, one of which represented the beauty of heavenly Tao, and was the true red dust fairy. The immortals couldn't resist the charm of heavenly Tao and drew their swords against each other. Red Dust Fairy, out of desperation, fled to Jojo, opened a pure land, and stayed away from the red dust. He saw the concerted efforts of the immortal realm's immortals to study the immortal ladder, which connected the 10,000 realms and brought the apex of prosperity to the immortal realm. It left an ancient legend in the lower realm, and the title of immortal became the goal of all living beings. The reputation of the immortal realm resounded across the 10,000 realms, and actually became the supreme ruler of all realms. He saw the immortal Emperor Chong attain the primordial chaos position, established the heavenly court, and ushered in a new era in the immortal realm, laying the groundwork for the creation of the immortal ladder. He saw the original ancestor lost his beloved, studied the path of time, achieved the primordial chaos position, but reversing time only resulted in new parallel worlds and couldn't truly resurrect his beloved. So, the ancestor had to let go. He saw the Buddha subdue the sixth heavenly demon King Mara under the Bodhi tree. After 3 great immeasurable tribulations, his blessings and wisdom were completed, and he achieved the primordial chaos position. He saw the sage of Confucius appealing to the Tao ancestor for the Tao, then spreading it throughout the 10,000 realms, teaching unenlightened people to understand morality. His deeds were boundless, his yin merits were boundless, and he achieved the primordial chaos position. He saw Mother Earth after her death and achieving enlightenment, understanding the rules of reincarnation, creating the underworld, becoming the impartial and just Earth sovereign, and establishing strict enforcement of order, establishing the 6 paths of reincarnation, establishing hell, and making all beings fear death. Even the slightest deviation in these events would lead to different choices and the emergence of parallel worlds. Many of the parallel worlds that Zhongli had visited were created due to different choices made by the primordial chaos beings. Emperor Shun, who was walking ahead, stopped his steady pace, causing Zhongli to halt his steps as well. We're here, yes. After traversing the long river of time and observing the past and present, Zhongli finally arrived at the source of time. Emperor Shun made a gesture of invitation. The river of time that we just passed is the river of time of our world, and in front of us is the source of all the rivers of time in parallel worlds. I cannot go, I request the human emperor to go alone. Zhongli nodded, crossed an invisible barrier in front. Passing through the invisible barrier and crossing into a parallel world required 2 heavenly Dao levels of strength. Therefore, no one could reach this place. Obviously, Zhongli was an exception. At the source of the river of time, there was a large stone with rough drawings on it. Zhongli injected spiritual energy into it, and the ancient drawings came to life, revealing what happened at the beginning of the world. Darkness, endless darkness. The black tide was silently devouring everything, leaving only a figure. All around him, it was silent, with not a single sign of life remaining. Everything was at a standstill, until a voice broke the silence. Stop. The voice, coming from the figure, managed to halt the corrosion of the black tide. Scatter. The black tide disappeared without a trace. Everyone is dead, all are dead. Only I am left, alive till the end. The figure muttered, neither happy nor sad. The figure spoke again. Rules, disappear. 4 simple words, but they had an indescribable force. All the rules of the old world disappeared completely, including the rule of destruction. The world now was a blank canvas, where any idea could affect future generations as a rule. Indeed, as long as I am the only conscious being, I can change the world at will. The figure smiled as all turned out as he anticipated. Shall I resurrect them as promised before? No, as the heavenly Tao, I have seen the greed of all beings that led our world to be destroyed by the rule of destruction. I want to create a world that exists in my mind. In this new world, everyone will respect and love each other. There will be no wars or disputes, it will be the best world. I want to prove that in my new world, this so-called rule of destruction will not pose a threat. I, Taichu, hereby declare the first rule in the new world, the rule of destruction. The manifestation of the rule of destruction is the black tide, with random locations, sizes, and is representative of chaos. What are your thoughts on the side story? Chapter 769. The 8 Rules of Creation. There should be spatial rules in the new world. The emergence of spatial rules gave birth to the concept of world, the dimensions of length, width and height and the quantifiable expression of Taichu's body. This world is too empty. With a single thought from Taichu, countless singularities exploded and expanded, taking shape into the embryonic worlds with observable astronomical entities such as gas clouds, constant stars and planets being born. World boundaries emerged, giving clear distinctions among these embryonic worlds. The void appeared, completely separating the worlds. Taichu gently stomps on the land under his feet. Among all the worlds born, the one under his feet is the biggest. Everything is in motion, hence it should be measured with time. Temporal rules came into being. Above all worlds, the river of time appeared, flowing with the murmuring streams representing time. The streams flowed onward to the future, signifying the everlasting existence of time that could neither be interrupted nor reversed. The things will not stay the same, the uncertainties lie in the vigor of the world. The new world should bear infinite possibilities. The rule of possibilities was born. At the birth of the world, only the silent eternity and Taichu's voice echoed throughout. His will was omnipotent, giving rise to the fundamental rules of the world. To allow future generations to thrive, they should be able to convert energy into mass and mass into energy, interchanging and perpetuating. The rule of energy mass conversion emerged. Where there is life, there is death. Birth and destruction are the undertones of the world. Immortality leads to decayed thoughts, making one obstinate and unheeding just like those in the old world. Life and death are destined, reincarnation is endless, only then can life continue incessantly. The concept of life and death emerged, and Taichu's state transitioned from eternity to life. The levels of life evolution can follow those in the old world, divided into chi cultivation, foundation establishment, golden core, nascent soul, divinity transformation, and transcendence tribulation stage. As for immortality, let's abandon it and end with transcendence tribulation stage. The worlds should be independent. The transcendence tribulation stage ones should not cross the void. As soon as they achieve immortality, they can traverse among worlds, interfering with the world's development. To reach the transcendence tribulation stage should be tougher. Life and death is the greatest fear of all. Overcoming this fear is the key to reach the transcendence tribulation stage. The rule of life evolution, which the future generations called chi cultivation, emerged. The energy for chi cultivation comes from spiritual energy. Spiritual energy appeared randomly in different worlds. It is the nourishment for all things and carries the rules of reincarnation and life evolution. Anything nurtured by the spiritual energy has the potential to gain wisdom and become a life. The human nature is survival of the fittest, chaotic. Let's establish this as the 8th rule. To reverse the rule of destruction, one must overcome one's own nature. The 8 rules, similar to the iron law, were etched in the root of the world. All beings and principles originated from these 8 auspicious rules, which cannot be violated. Taichu walked on the land, feeling the world's shifts. He walked out of the world barrier, came to the void, and got injured in the void. Taichu soon understood why. If I were the me of the old world, the void wouldn't be able to hurt me. But in this new world, the rules of the old world have disappeared, and my body is no longer the one from the old world. Then, Taichu gave a command to his body, my body should be indestructible. In the blink of an eye, 5,000 years passed. Heaven and earth were not as dramatically changing as in the creation. 5 elements of metal, wood, water, fire, and earth were born. Everything could combine freely to create new entities. The way of cause and effect, the way of yin and yang and the way of creation. All followed in succession. The world was still evolving, but in a subtle way that was hardly noticeable. Taichu leaned against a tree, eyes half closed. This feeling of comfort was beyond anything experienced in the old world. It's too quiet, Taichu murmured softly. Using spiritual energy for birthing life is a lengthy process. Now, only 5,000 years have passed, the world is still sprouting, and the birth of new life is yet to come. The creation has ended, I no longer need to hold a single thought. Taichu stood up, thought and created 9 infants. These 9 babies were still embryos. One was born first, introducing a second mind into the world. Taichu taught the baby affectionately and assigned it a name, Chong. Chong represents the sky. As Taichu was the heavenly Tao of the old world, he named the first human, Chong, placing his hopes in him. The infant soon grew into a child, innocent and naive. Taichu took Chong's hand and narrated his experiences of creation. Taichu instructed Chong, the rules of destruction, space-time, possibility, energy-mass conversion, life-death cycle, life evolution, survival of the fittest. Chong, you must remember these 8 rules thoroughly. There should be no errors. Chong nodded firmly, Master, I will remember. Then, Chong asked, but Master, as you have said, sentient beings are greedy and prefer domination by the strong. How can we establish order, and how can we resist the rule of destruction in the future? Taichu stroked Chong's head gently. Silly boy, haven't you noticed that I haven't set rules for energy? This means that energy is limitless. Mind you, it's not limitless in a boundless sense, or the world itself would collapse. To have limitless energy is to conceive it. If you can conceive, energy will appear out of nothingness. If sentient beings are greedy, can their greed consume limitless energy? As long as the desires of sentient beings are satisfied, order will be established naturally. Chong nodded, trying to grasp the concept. Seeing Chong's expression, Taichu couldn't help but laugh. Unlike him, Chong has never experienced a world where might makes right, filled with looting and plundering. Since Taichu's birth, he had been contemplating solutions to this problem. Finally, he found a solution. The old world had 9 rules, but his new world had only 8, missing the law of conservation of energy. With limitless energy, establishing an order becomes feasible. A few years later, Chong was all grown up and the remaining 8 infants, 4 boys and 4 girls, were born one after another. Taichu named them, respectively as Earth, Zon, Yellow, Universe, Cosmos, Hong, Wilderness, Constant. Taichu entrusted Chong with the task of teaching these 8 children, so he could see if Chong remembered the 8 rules. In the lush forest, Chong was wholeheartedly explaining the 8 rules to the 8 children. Off at a distance, Taichu listened and nodded approvingly. Taichu looked at the heaven and earth that he created single-handedly. Although there were only 9 beings, he seemed to have already envisaged the prosperity of the future. Each world developed independently without interference. Those that established orders survived in the black tide while those that failed disappeared. The black tide was like a sieve that filtered out the failures and left the successes. My mission is complete. All living things eventually die, and as the creator, I, too, shall follow the law of life and death. The future is for the future generations to handle. Taichu entered the void and deliberately ended his life force. His body will forever float in the void. Chapter 770, The Oldest Mystery. Chongqing felt restless, unable to calm his heart, and he stopped teaching the 8 students like Earth and Zan, heading to his teacher's seclusion instead. There was nothing in Taichu's seclusion, as if Taichu had never been there. Master. Chongqing felt despair, leaning against a corner. He knew his teacher had died. Taichu had talked to Chong many times about life and death, but Chong, having never experienced death, couldn't understand what Taichu meant when he talked about death. So this is death. Saint teacher, what happened? Earth asked. Chongqing looked at his 8 students, grief-stricken, and spoke in a trembling voice, Master Taichu, your grandmaster, has reincarnated. Remember, this is the rule of life and death. Although Earth and the others had never attended Taichu's class, they often played around him. Their feelings for him are no less deep than Chong's. But they are still in a state of ignorance, not knowing what death really is. Chong sighed. These 8 students were far from grown up. Take a week off, classes will resume next week. Several years had passed and their world consisted of just the 9 of them, 1 teacher and 8 students. Chong thought this life was good. As Taichu was not here, he had complete authority. Everyone respected him and listened to him. Taichu never taught Chong about this feeling of control, commonly found at the beginning of a dictatorship. Chong was standing within the boundary wall, looking at the nearby world with an exploratory heart. But he was only at the transcendence tribulation stage. If he stepped into the void, he would be torn apart. It's a pity that there are no realms above the transcendence tribulation stage. Wait, I remember Master Taichu mentioned, in the old world, there was a separation between mortal and immortal. Being mortal could become immortal. Immortal was the realm after the transcendence tribulation stage, and immortals can be categorized into earth immortal, heavenly immortal, golden immortal, and immortal with limitless potential. Master said that he could do anything, including creating a world, because he was the only consciousness in the world. Now that our world has 9 people, but as a saint teacher, they will all trust my words, so, in this way, the condition of single consciousness should be fulfilled. Today, we will continue to learn about the evolution of life. I have told you before, the stage of transcendence tribulation is the final form of life evolution. This final form has one prerequisite, which is the final form of mortals. After being mortal, one can become an immortal. Immortal, a boy named Constant asked, his heart itching with curiosity. He was better than his siblings at learning about the rules of life evolution. Chong nodded, yes, immortal. Once someone becomes an immortal, their lifespan immediately becomes 100,000 years. The immortal's rank is equivalent to the world's. Immortals can traverse the void, free and unrestrained. There are 4 levels of immortals: Earth immortal, heavenly immortal, golden immortal, and immortal with limitless potential. We will discuss these levels later. Today, we will focus on how to become an immortal. To become an immortal, 2 steps are indispensable. One is the immortal body, and the other is the immortal power. Different from the spiritual energy you're familiar with, immortal power is a more advanced form of energy with endless uses. Saint teacher, where does the immortal power come from? Constant asked with his hand raised. It comes from heavenly Tao. What is heavenly Tao? Like with the transcendence tribulation stage, it's not something one can simply transmit. The spoken Tao is not the true Tao. The Tao is in your heart, and you need to comprehend it carefully. Whatever you think in your heart is the Tao. All you need to know now is that the heavenly Tao can issue the immortal power, and it is an essential requirement to becoming an immortal. Because our world has a heavenly Tao that allows people to become immortals, our world is known as the immortal realm. The students nodded their heads in a dazed manner, somewhat understanding, yet still confused. After class, the students pondered what the heavenly Tao truly was. Chong looked up at the stars, feeling that the heavenly Tao was gradually taking shape. God knows how long it has been, but during one class, everyone was present except for Earth. Earth, what happened to you? Why didn't you come to class? An angry Chong went looking for Earth. Such a situation had never happened before. Lying on the grass, she yawned impatiently and closed her eyes. What's so captivating about it? It's merely those 8 same rules, constantly repeated over and over again. It's all so futile and it grates my nerves to listen to them. She no longer addressed Chong as her master, and her attitude was no longer respectful. And besides, I've entered the transcendence tribulation stage already. I wouldn't be afraid even if we truly had to fight. In the early stages of the world's creation, dangers lurked everywhere, but as the second person created by Taichu, it was a breeze for her to transcend death and reach the transcendence tribulation stage. Chong felt anger, an emotion he was experiencing for the first time. He had lost control over his 8 students, and with her achieving the Transcendence Tribulation stage, it was only a matter of time for the others to follow. And as more beings continue to appear, more transcenders and immortals would form, he would no longer be unique. Under Chang's pressure, she eventually went back to studying reluctantly, but this incident spurred Chang to contemplate on a question. Why was he so special? Because he was the first being created by Taichu? No, everyone believes in me because I hold knowledge, and the essence of knowledge is resource. If I want everyone to heed me, then I must control resources. Knowledge is hard to control as it will eventually spread, therefore, I will control energy. Classmates, today let's learn about the 9th rule, the law of conservation of energy. Has anyone ever thought about where energy comes from? I can tell you all that energy has existed since the beginning of creation. The world is fair, the total amount of energy is fixed and unchanging. If energy could be created out of nothing, wouldn't the world have already been plunged into chaos? Chang's words rang true. The immortal realm was abundant in energy, and his 8 students never had to worry about running out of energy, so they trusted in Chang's words. Chang knew that once the law of conservation of energy emerged, no one could break it. Future scientific research or cultivating immortality would all adhere to it, even considering it as common knowledge. People wouldn't question the knowledge that has existed from the beginning. We can refer to the law of conservation of energy as the pseudo rule. Unless the whole world could cease to believe in energy conservation, this rule would always hold true and stands as equal to the other 8 laws. Chang had succeeded. The 9 rules were as he had wished. As teacher Taichu has estimated, there will soon be an explosive proliferation of life. This will herald the first wave of life's emergence across the 10,000 realms, including the immortal realm. What I have to do is to continually cultivate, to soon become a primordial supreme immortal and to rule over the 10,000 realms. Only with power can you control everything. Master, why should you control all the energy across the 10,000 realms? Does that mean everyone's cultivation has to be approved by you? You even ask living beings to swear allegiance to you, to be your slaves and servants. Is this your way of treating people? Chang formed the ancient heavenly court, demanding all realms to submit to his rule. Angered by Chang's behavior, the 8 students confronted him. Chang frowned slightly. These 8 had been stirring up trouble and undermining his authority. It was time to reassert his dominance. The war of ancient heavenly court began. It may not have been as spectacular as the encounters between primordial supreme immortals we see today, but it was bloodier. Among the 8, the youngest, Constant, was the strongest. After 60 years of continuous struggle, Constant had a breakthrough on the battlefield and became the first primordial supreme immortal, ending Chang's brutal reign. Following Chang's death, the scene ended. The mark on the stone dates back to the time before the birth of parallel worlds, indicating that these origins are consistent across all parallel worlds. Zhongli walked down the river of time. Emperor Shun wanted to say something when he saw Zhongli emerge, but held back when he saw his serious expression. Zhongli saw that Taichu had reincarnated, and involuntarily exclaimed, Mother Earth. Quote, even though Taichu had no gender, reincarnating as Mother Earth was entirely beyond Zhongli's expectation. He saw from the original 8, only the youngest one, Constant, became the Tao ancestor. The rest could not achieve the status of primordial supreme immortal due to their lack of innate talent. Over time, they eventually passed away. He saw Chang was also reincarnated. In every life cycle, he became an immortal, even reincarnating as Changshin in his 9th life to become the immortal emperor. No wonder in one of the parallel worlds, the immortal emperor successfully rebelled, replacing the heavenly Tao. Everything started to make sense to Zhongli at last. Seems like I can't add more now, I will need to write mini stories to make up for that. Chapter 771, The Final Conclusion. After bidding farewell to Emperor Shun, Zhongli planned to return to 9 provinces. Zhongli used the word becomes law, let me return to 9 provinces. Emperor Shun, who just bid Zhongli farewell, returned silently, opened a door, and invited him to leave. The door opened by Emperor Shun led to where the earth veins were, consistent with the location when Jianli left. Zhongli arrived at the imperial palace above the earth veins and found it bustling with excitement. Bai Hongtu was busy instructing the guards to do something. There was also a refined and quiet lady standing nearby, wearing a pink dress, extremely eye-catching. Hall Master, you really did come back after 7 days, Captain Lu said, laughing as he saw Zhongli return. Zhongli was taken aback. 7 days, what 7 days? Emperor Shun mentioned in his dream to Gigi that you would leave from the earth veins after 7 days. As we discussed earlier, we plan to celebrate your triumphant return from the parallel world with a welcome party and commemorate the end of our exploration of the many heavens. We all agreed to make it a bigger celebration. Originally, Bai Hongtu volunteered to prepare it, but his arrangements were not satisfactory, even approving the Union sect's clothing removal performance. I couldn't stand it and pushed him aside to take over. Zhang Li sighed in relief. Captain Lu was dependable as always. Who is this? Zhang Li looked at the pink-skirted lady standing next to him, who hadn't spoken a word. Little Peach, say hello to the Hall Master. Dao Yao has seen Hall Master Zhang. Hall Master Zhang has seen me before. Zhang Li looked at Dao Yao for a long time before realizing, you're the fairy peach tree from the land of red dust. Yes, how did you transform yourself? The fairy of red dust said that she had lost the heavens, favor and could freely walk around the mountain. As a tree, I should also explore the world. So, I invited the Confucian saint to assist me in this transformation. The transformation of a fairy tree is not easy, congratulations. Hall Master, feel free to walk around. In another 2 hours, the welcome celebration can begin. Zhang Li stepped out of the imperial palace and found it incredibly lively outside, more so than any previous festival. Due to the widespread use of spatial portals, every part of 9 provinces was connected to the imperial palace, and a constant stream of people came to participate in the celebration. Zhang Konggu was invited by the old Dragon King to review the training progress of the 4 Sea Dragon Kings on Zhang Li's human emperor strength. Zhang Konggu and the 4 Sea Dragon Kings took turns arm wrestling, and only the East Sea Dragon King managed to defeat him. The East Sea Dragon King shook his hand in complaint. Commander Zhang, you said the standard of mastering Zhang Li's human emperor strength is to defeat you in strength. To fully master it, one should be able to arm wrestle with Zhang Li. Isn't the gap between the 2 standards too large? The other 3 Dragon Kings nodded. They would never be able to fully master it. Zhang Konggu truthfully responded. I believe all of you have realized this issue too late. It's not too late, there's still a chance for remedy. I heard that Zhang Li encountered Emperor Chu in the parallel world and effortlessly defeated him. We should add an intermediate level between mastery and full mastery, called pseudo-mastery. The standard will be the ability to arm wrestle with Emperor Chu using one hand. I have no objections. Did you hear? The author of My Previous Life is conducting a book signing over there. It's that tragic book. Many distraught people felt better about their circumstances and reignited their hope for life after reading it. I also heard that the author is one of the captains of the Human Emperor Palace. Let's go and take a look. Big brother Ma, sister-in-law Zhou, I've been with Isu for such a long time now and we still don't have a child. What should I do? Captain Wood sought advice from Ma Zhou and his wife. Ma Zhou and his wife reassured him immediately, not having a child is not bad at all. Ever since we had our little one, our blissful life has bid us farewell. Noises of scuffling filled the air as some men pushed down the man at the front and started punching and kicking him. Hurry up and hit him, the Human Emperor Palace guards will be here soon. Onlookers pointed fingers at the man on the ground, showing no sympathy for his situation. What's wrong with this man? Zhang Li asked. This bastard came out of the Union sect and reported the Union sect to the Human Emperor Palace guards. He always does this, and we finally caught him. Spit. Zhang Li noticed that among those who started the fight were Emperor Wei and the Dream Emperor Zhang, both seemingly more vicious than the others. Soon the guards from the Human Emperor Palace arrived and dispersed the crowd. Pure Heart, how do you feel about this book? Would you like to go in? Sister Yu Yin, this book is not suitable, it has no twist in the storyline, and the setup is quite boring. How about finding the Chronicles of Zhang the Human Emperor to bring in? Ah, that's a great idea. Zhang Li saw Pure Heart and Yu Yin sitting in the bookstore, whispering to each other. The bookshelf behind them was marked with Zhang Li's section, holding books related to Zhang Li, including novels, textbooks, anthologies, journals, and even instructions on making candied hawthorns. Pure Heart, Yu Yin, what are you doing? No, nothing. Pure Heart was like a child caught doing something wrong, acting quite flustered. Yu Yin remained calm as always. Nothing much, we were just discussing which book we like the most. Heard you were in the earth veins for 7 days, have you come out? I was just wrapping up some work. Zhang Li replied, not intending to reveal what he had seen. Have you checked the program yet? Not yet. Zhang Li shook his head. He had no idea there was a program. There's a performance by me and Pure Heart in the program. Pure Heart will dance the Feather Transformation Fairy Dance, and I'll accompany her with my music. Zhang Li laughed. That's rare indeed, I'm really looking forward to it. By the way, where is Bai Hongtu? Yu Yin stood up. I'll accompany you to find him. When Zhongli and Yu Yin found Bai Hongtu, he was performing a crosstalk comedy show with Taoist ancestor on the street. Bai Hongtu providing the jokes while Taoist ancestor acted as the straight man. Although it was their first show together, their collaboration was seamless, which prompted cheers from the audience. The Fairy of Red Dust, Street, Confucius, and Mother Hu too, pretending to be ordinary spectators, clamored from the audience, asking for an encore. Among them, the Fairy of Red Dust and Mother Hu too were the most enthusiastic. Long-lived Fairy became uneasy and whispered, "Senior Confucius, is it appropriate to act like this?" Saint Confucius laughed and said, "Do you know what Taoist ancestor did at the immortal emperor's inauguration?" "I don't. The event happened millions of years ago." The long-lived fairy didn't know the details of it. "Your master, Taoist ancestor Shen Shi was very serious. You don't understand the real Taoist ancestor, that's normal." The Taoist ancestor also performed a solo crosstalk at the inauguration. The immortal emperor was deeply moved and thought that the Taoist ancestor's humble performance signified the recognition of his imperial position. And then what happened? Later, the immortal emperor found out that the Taoist ancestor would perform a solo crosstalk wherever he went. At the end of the street show, Bai Hongtu saw Zhongli and Yu Yin approaching him, stopped his performance, and walked off the stage to meet them. "I'm just warming up before the celebration performance." Zhongli glanced at Bai Hongtu. "You can do anything you want at the celebration, just don't perform a heavenly tribulation." The three men strolled down the street, bought a sugar-coated Haws on a stick, and chatted and laughed along the way. On their way, they noticed Li secretly buying a picture album of the monster tribe. Saw the White Snow Spirit sisters who were also shopping, spotted 7-kill Taoist with the love sword in his left hand and the ruthless sword in his right hand, witnessed Qin Luan embroiled in a relationship drama and Yuan Wuxing enjoying the spectacle, spotted Li Nianer searching for her father, caught sight of father and daughter Ji and Ji Kongkong having a staring contest, and noticed Yu Yushan live broadcasting the grand event of the celebration. Suddenly, Bai Hongtu became interested in something sold on a stall. What was being sold on the stall were sculptures of Zhongli, himself, and Yu Yin, all in the Mahayana realm. "How much for Zhongli's statue?" 10 low-grade spirit stones. "What about Yu Yin's sculpture?" 5 low-grade spirit stones. "Then mine, I mean, Bai Hongtu's." The stall owner looked at Bai Hongtu's statue and casually replied, "If you buy those two, you can get this one for free." Bai Hongtu's smile froze on his face, while Zhongli burst into hearty laughter, and Yu Yin covered her mouth and chuckled softly. The trio was all smiles, evidently enjoying themselves. Eventually, it was Zhongli who bought all 3 sculptures. He kept his own statue and gifted the other 2 to Bai Hongtu and Yu Yin. "This is called Mahayana Trio Set," the vendor said. This was just a minor episode during their stroll. Zhongli and Bai Hongtu continued to chat and laugh, sharing strange tales they had heard and teasing each other, while Yu Yin quietly listened, occasionally interjecting a line or two. In an instant, they seemed to be transported back to the time 500 years ago, when they were all candidates for the human emperor. Zhongli silently mused that despite the vast changes in their identities and statuses over the past 500 years, their initial ambitions had never changed. The celebration was about to begin. On the stage, the emperors of the 9 dynasties and the sect masters of the 6 major sects sat in a dignified manner. Zhongli cleared his throat lightly, and the once noisy crowd below instantly fell silent. Countless pairs of eyes focused on the figure on the stage, their reverence growing stronger. The Sky Mechanism Tower was broadcasting live, allowing not only the people in JoJo but also those in the 10,000 realms to witness the celebration. It could be said that at this moment, all beings in the 10,000 realms were watching Zhongli intently. Among the spectators were children who had grown up listening to tales of Zhongli. They had heard the elders praising Zhongli. He slayed heavenly demons from outside territories, changed the customs of JoJo, annihilated the immortal realm, and led JoJo to the 10,000 realms, creating a stable development environment for all the heavens. He wrote books to explain cultivation knowledge, popularized cultivation techniques, and helped improve the cultivators' skills, providing various development methods for mortals and cultivators, expanding the space-time channels for communication. It could be said that Zhongli's impact is felt in everything, from the grand union of the 10,000 realms to the minutiae of everyday life. As the children watched Zhongli, the figure in front of them gradually overlapped with the Zhongli from the narratives they'd heard, planting a seed deep in their hearts. The younger generation couldn't understand the profoundness of these matters as much as the older one did. The older generation had experienced the past of Jojo before Zhongli, and only they could genuinely appreciate the enormous changes Zhongli had brought to Jojo. The human emperor candidates were present at the scene. The more they had experienced, the more they realized how great a person Zhongli was. Because of this, they continuously strove to improve themselves and tried to live up to Zhongli's standards. Many spectators from other worlds were there who were witnessing the true human emperor Zhongli for the first time. They had a feeling of inexplicable reassurance, which became their first impression of him. It seemed as if as long as the man on the stage was present, there were no problems that couldn't be solved. This feeling couldn't be explained scientifically, but they just had this feeling. Zhongli, standing with his hands behind his back, smiled as he looked at the quiet crowd below and announced loudly. "Let the celebration begin." End of the book. Chapter 772, Side Story, The First Human Emperor Candidate Test. In the 9 provinces, in front of the nameless secret realm, cultivators trickle in one after another. If one were to closely observe, they would discover that the cultivators heading for this place are all exceptionally gifted and talented individuals. Despite their young age, they are far more advanced in their cultivation than their peers. These gifted and talented individuals look at each other cautiously, each viewing the others as future competitors. Only by defeating everyone else can they succeed the human emperor and become the next emperor. Ghost Moving Mountain, the closed-door disciple of the corpse-driving sect master, elder sister Meng Yu of the Union sect, and Xuanyuan Gang, who, like Sword Lord, also possesses the spiritual root all familiar faces. The talented individuals were quickly able to identify the others' identities. Each one of them is famous among their peers, boasting unique skills, more than enough to stand out among their generation. They slightly straighten their chests, confident in their ability to defeat all opponents and become the 72nd human emperor. A white-robed young man with a noble bearing strides onto the scene, a sword tied to his waist. His arrival prompts the surrounding cultivators to gather around. Quickly, look, that's Bai Hongtu from the Dao sect. I knew he would definitely be among the candidates for the human emperor. I've heard that he is said to be the most outstanding talent of the Dao sect in 9,000 years, excelling in formation, alchemy, and artifact refining. And in Sword Dao, no one can match him. Not long ago, he stood out in the Sword Lord's sword tomb, sitting quietly there for 3 days. When he stood up, his eyes shot out golden light, his sword chi reached 30,000 miles, and 6 out of 18 stels were cut off. Even Xuanyuan Gang had to yield to him. Bai Hongtu carries an air of nobility with a confident smile gracing his face. His glowing aura makes him a beloved figure among female cultivators, truly worthy of the title of the most outstanding talent in the Dao sect. Soon, another aloof female cultivator arrives and quickly draws the crowd's attention. However, many who wanted to build a relationship with her were put off by her aloof and unapproachable presence. Bai Hongtu and the aloof female cultivator nod at each other in greeting. That must be Yu Yin, the crown princess consort of the Tianyuan royal family. I've heard that within the territory of the Tianyuan emperor dynasty, no one of her generation could match her. Even when confronting the elder generation, she has won numerous times. Upon hearing the discussion about her, Yu Yin shot a cold glance at the speaker, who immediately fell silent. Yu Yin, you're still as indifferent as ever. Be careful, or you will have no friends left. A young man with an unfamiliar face arrived, just in time to witness this scene. He laughed and spoke. Most people were unfamiliar with him. Who is he? Do you guys know him? Never seen him before. However, to become a candidate for the human emperor, his talent is unquestionable. His unfamiliarity could be due to 2 possibilities, either he is some faction's hidden disciple, or he is a loose cultivator. The latter would be harder to deal with. Yu Yin was not surprised by the unfamiliar young man's arrival. Zhongli, you're also a candidate for the human emperor as expected. Zhongli said with a smile, the Earth Pulse likes me. Zhongli, I remember that name. I heard that he was the best graduate of the great Zhou Dynasty Family Academy. After graduation, many organizations wanted to recruit him, but he rejected them with the excuse of travel. It's unclear where he went after that. It seems that he also visited the sword tomb when it was opened. Could he be a sword cultivator as well? Highly likely. Sword cultivators are hard to deal with in close combat, so be careful. Zhongli turned his head to see Bai Hongtu and enthusiastically greeted him, Old Bai, even someone of your level got in. Upon seeing Zhongli, Bai Hongtu walked over, responding with the same enthusiasm, once I become the human emperor, I will surely promote you to be a commander. The two laughed heartily. Yu Yin was a bit puzzled, unable to figure out whether they had a good or bad relationship. You guys know each other. Of course, a while ago, during the opening of the Sword Tomb, I also went to see the excitement. That's when I met Old Bai. Old Bai, this is Yu Yin, also a friend I met in the secret realm. I know Yu Yin, the gifted cultivator from the Tianyuan Emperor dynasty. Nice to meet you. With Zhang Li there, Bai Hongtu's greeting to Yu Yin no longer felt as formal as their initial head nod. Yu Yin was a little unaccustomed to the enthusiastic Bai Hongtu. You were at the Golden Core stage during the opening of the Sword Tomb, now you're at the Nascent Soul stage. Your cultivation speed is quite fast. Bai Hongtu sized up Zhang Li. One of the conditions to becoming a human emperor candidate was reaching the Nascent Soul stage. It's amazing that you also became a human emperor candidate. Don't waste your talent. After the test is over, I will recommend you to my master, and see if you can study for a while at the Dao sect. Zhang Li was greatly moved. Thank you. Bai Hongtu waved his hand, showing respect to the wise and talented is the right thing to do. Get lost. Yu Yin spoke earnestly. I had been thoughtless. You helped me in the secret realm, so I owe you a favor. If you need it, I can make a copy of the explosive cultivation techniques of the Tianyuan royal family for you. In the secret realm, Yu Yin had seen Zhang Li's extraordinary combat power and forgotten that he was a loose cultivator, lacking a sect in cultivation techniques. After hearing Bai Hongtu's words, she realized her mistake. They're not secrets that are not to be divulged, right? Zhang Li asked cautiously. Don't ask too many questions. All three of you know each other. Another voice rang out. It was the last candidate for the human emperor, Gigi. Zhang Li shot Gigi a look. Using the trice to gaze into the future, you're always here before our teacher. As soon as Gigi arrived, a kindly old man appeared in the air. Everyone bowed and shouted in unison, Greetings, human emperor. The 71st human emperor, Lu Yu. Lu Yu beamed at those who had just been chosen as candidates for emperor, very contented. They are all the future of JoJo. The reason I gathered everyone here today has no deeper meaning. Firstly, to introduce one another. To become the human emperor, you must pass many tests, so you all definitely need to interact with each other more. Secondly, to test your abilities. The secret realm before you is a nameless secret realm I stumbled upon by accident. Later, I will give each of you 3 wooden tokens that you may compete for. You can take a token each time you win. Whoever gets the most tokens is the victor. Everyone discovered 3 small wooden tokens appeared on their waists, which could not be placed in the storage ring. The others went into the nameless secret realm one after another, while Zhang Li's group was the last to enter. Before entering, the 4 were held back by Lu Yu. Zhang Li, do well. A year ago, while traveling in the martial emperor dynasty, Zhang Li encountered a disciple of the Qingtian sect who was bullying the weak. They argued, and by chance they met Lu Yu, who was visiting incognito. Lu Yu appreciated Zhang Li very much. Later, the two ate noodles together on the street, and Zhang Li even gave him some garlic cloves. Bai Hongtu, the immortal has mentioned you to me, saying that if the immortal ladder still existed, you might become the second Dao ancestor. There was another sentence that Lu Yu didn't say, that the immortal had told him that if he found Bai Hongtu displeasing, he could strike him, and the Dao sect would not object. Lu Yu found this strange. He found Bai Hongtu quite pleasing to the eye, and he didn't know why the immortal would say this. Yu Yin, I have understood your background. The Imperial Palace can help you sever ties with the Tianyuan royal family. Thank you for your kindness, Lu Yu. I can handle this matter myself. Gigi, your father told me that the power of your trice is too strong to test your true level, so he suggested that you only use them during combat. Yes. After saying a few words, Lu Yu let the 4 enter the secret realm. The secret realm was vast, with lakes, forests, and mountains. Once entered, it was hard to find one's trace again. It seems like a secret realm left by a transcendence tribulation stage or immortal. It's been too long, even the original function of the secret realm has disappeared. Gigi analyzed, to obtain the wooden tokens, we inevitably have to fight. The terrain of the secret realm is complex, and once we start fighting, it tests our ability to respond on the spot. Without saying a word, Yu Yin rushed straight into the thicket, disappearing from sight. Soon, the sound of battle came from that direction. I'll make a move first. Gigi realized the urgency of time, and vanished from sight. We were initially planning on teaming up, but in the blink of an eye, everyone was gone. Zhang Li was a bit dissatisfied, seeing no team spirit at all. Do you have a plan? Bai Hongtu asked. Zhang Li shared his plan and Bai Hongtu nodded frequently, finding it to his liking. Soon, Zhang Li and Bai Hongtu also decided to act separately in seeking other people's tokens. From time to time, battles occurred within the secret realm. The cultivation level of all emperor candidates was suppressed at the initial stage of the nascent soul by Liu Yu. But when it came to real combat, each of them exhibited strength far surpassing the initial stage of the nascent soul. Most notable was Yu Yin's savage fighting. Whenever he came face to face with someone, regardless of who they were, he chose to fight. After winning 3 consecutive battles, people chose to avoid his aura, not wanting to waste energy on Yu Yin. It was not worth it. Xuanyuan gang, we meet again. Let me see how much skill you've picked up from the Sword Lord. Bai Hongtu brandished his sword and chuckled lightly. Already 5 tokens were hanging around his waist. In just half an hour, Bai Hongtu had grabbed 2 tokens. Xuanyuan gang faced him gravely. With a natural talent for the sword Dao, he had always thought himself unparalleled, but after the battle at the Sword Lord's tomb, he realized there were mountains beyond mountains. The reputation of the Dao sect was well deserved. Let's fight. The 2 sword Dao cultivators engaged in a great battle amidst the dense forest, uprooting trees along the way. Bai Hongtu held an edge in skill, defeating Xuanyuan gang again and taking away a token. Bai Hongtu faced his opponents with his swordsmanship, even defeating the legendary Xuanyuan gang from the sword pavilion and grabbing a token from him. See you later. Bai Hongtu hurried to the anticipated rendezvous point. So you are Zhang Li. Nothing but a fame earned from cramming. You should obedient, don't you dare hit my storage ring. Do you have any idea how many spirit stones I spent to buy it from Mount Sumeru? My token. Fight honorably, and don't hit the storage ring, don't steal the token. Wait, I shouldn't have hung the storage ring on my chest. Don't you know the difference between men and women? Zhang Li's process of robbing the token was very smooth, the only problem was that it aroused too much emotion from people. They had never seen such a shameless tactic. Attacking the position of the storage ring without saying a word, seizing the token while they were preoccupied with the storage ring. Zhang Li's actions provoked public anger. One victim after another followed Zhang Li. Catch up, don't let this jerk escape. Zhang Li was running for his life. Looking back at the momentum of the mob, Zhang Li suspected that if he was the slightest bit slower, he would be pinned to the ground and hammered by his pursuers. Fortunately, Zhang Li had plenty of experience with being chased and wouldn't be caught. This jerk can really run. Let's split up and surround him. I, from the Union sect, have a secret method that can prevent us from being detected when we communicate over short distances. Union sect elder sister Meng Yuyu commanded the other victims. The crowd thought Meng Yuyu's idea made sense, and they dispersed to form a circle of encirclement. The encirclement gradually narrowed, and finally surrounded a lake, which was the rendezvous point for Bai Hongtu and Zhang Li. Should we go in? Bai Hongtu is there. Let's wait and listen to what they're saying. In terms of fame, Bai Hongtu is definitely the most famous candidate for human emperor. Dao sect is the strongest among all sects, it goes without saying how prestigious its members are. Thankfully I run fast, otherwise I would have been caught. Zhang Li breathlessly said, being chased by top-tier talents naturally required him to exert his utmost efforts. Tisk tisk, your popularity really is not good. Enough talking, how many tokens have you gotten? Bai Hongtu triumphantly took a few tokens out of his bosom. When it comes to the number of tokens, you certainly can't beat me. It fell into the lake. Without much caution, a token slipped out of his hand and fell into the lake. Just as Bai Hongtu was about to jump into the lake to retrieve it, an anomaly occurred. Waves rippled across the calm lake's surface, and it was as if a golden fountain burst forth, carrying 2 tokens up. Why are there 2? Bai Hongtu was very surprised. Zhang Li arched his eyebrows. Did you accidentally drop 2 inside? That being said, Zhang Li also tossed in a token, a miracle appeared again, the golden fountain once again held up 2 tokens. Zhang Li pondered for a moment and suddenly looked up and exclaimed, the golden fountain sprays, all things are in pairs, could this be the treasure-gathering lake left over from an ancient legend? Bai Hongtu was taken aback, but then a moment of realization dawned on him. I remember now, the Taoist scripture library has a book called Celestial World Anecdotes, which records the strange and miraculous events of the immortal realm. There was an earth immortal who achieved immortality through wealth, named Wealth Gathering Immortal. His treasure pot could duplicate all things, which is very strange. Wealth Gathering Immortal was an immortal from 160,000 years ago who laid to rest 60,000 years ago. If he left this secret territory, it's only normal that it would become desolate after 60,000 years. Zhang Li nodded. After all, this is a secret territory personally selected by the 72nd human emperor Liu Yu. It is normal to have such a history. My awareness was narrow. I thought Liu Yu just wanted us to fight with each other. It seems that the test is also about knowledge and uncovering the essence of the secret territory. The 72nd Human Emperor Liu Yu is thoughtful, we can't just look at the surface. You're right, Zhang Li threw 2 more tokens in, but it didn't produce 4 tokens. He picked up the 2 tokens that did appear. It seems that a person can only use the treasure pool once. You and I have had our chance, Yu Yin and Gigi don't know about this. Let's contact them separately, they have many tokens, which can be duplicated. Zhang Li and Bai Hongtu departed, and Meng Yuyu and the others didn't stop them. After the 2 left, Meng Yuyu and the others were watching the lake, their hearts pounding. Such a good thing, this Zhang Li with his extensive reading does come in handy. Who has heard of Celestial World Anecdotes? Ghost Moving Mountain of Corpse Driving Sect asked. Everyone shook their heads. Fine, there are so many books in the world, it's normal not to have heard of some. The collection of our sect can't possibly compare with the great Zhou Dynasty family's academy and the Dao sect. I'll have to read more books in the future. Dream Yu made up her mind. Forget about this. Hurry up and throw the wooden token in. Exactly, this is the most important thing. Just now, Zhang Li proved with actual evidence that each person only has 1 chance, then we all should throw our tokens in. This way, we will get the most. Alright, several human emperor candidates threw their wooden tokens in at once. The lake surface calmed for a moment, then the formation at the bottom of the lake emitted a radiant display. The wooden tokens were connected to form a barrier-shaped figure, jumping out of the water and flying towards Zhang Li and Bai Hongtu, who were hiding not far away. The 2 of them caught all of the wooden tokens and sprinted away. This time, if they were caught, they would face more than just a beating. The crowd's faces changed dramatically, immediately realizing they had been duped. Chase. After I catch them, I'm going to strip them and hang their clothes on a tree. The chase began. Zhang Li and Bai Hongtu ran for their lives while the crowd pursued relentlessly, intent on chasing them down to the end. When the test ended, the crowd still hadn't caught up with Zhang Li and Bai Hongtu. The Human Emperor, save us. They want to sell us to the Union sect. The 2 men called out to the Human Emperor as they spotted him at the exit. The Human Emperor's eyes twitched as he had seen everything. Bai Hongtu had laid out the arrangement under the lake, Zhang Li had drawn all the hatred, and the 2 had met at the lake's edge. They had played a good act pretending that here was treasure-gathering immortals' treasure-gathering lake. For maximizing their gains, people would surely throw all the tokens in. As a result, the formation was activated, and all the tokens fell into Zhang Li's and Bai Hongtu's hands. He finally understood what the elder meant by, feel free to fight. Forget about the Human Emperor candidates wanting to bash someone, he wanted to do so too. You were supposed to demonstrate your adaptability in the test, and this is your ability, deceit. With that said, the Human Emperor still sheltered the 2 behind him, like a hen protecting her chicks. Alright, enough nonsense. Admit to the inferiority, beware next time. With the Human Emperor saying this, the crowd could only suppress their anger. There was no reward for this test, only ranking, so there was no actual loss for the crowd. But they were still angry. And you too, stop making faces to taunt them. The Human Emperor reprimanded Zhang Li and Bai Hongtu heavily. These 2 guys were making faces behind his back, he couldn't stand it. Don't do this again next time. The trial results were based on the number of wooden tokens. Zhang Li and Bai Hongtu tied for first place, and Yu Yin ranked 3rd. Yu Yin wrinkled her brow slightly. She didn't know how Zhang Li and Bai Hongtu managed to do it. She had been fighting and winning the whole time. She should be the one with the best performance. The trial has ended. I hope everyone will reflect on their deficiencies, adjust their mentality, and keep working hard. This trial was just a little warm-up. The next one will be held in a month. Dismissed. When the Human Emperor concluded, he glared at Zhang Li and Bai Hongtu, who were showing off their achievements to Yu Yin and Gigi. He would have to adjust the rules for the next trial. He couldn't let them exploit loopholes again. Early in the morning, the leader of the Imperial Palace saw that the lights of the Sutra Collection Pavilion were still on, as though someone had been reading from night till morning and had forgotten to extinguish the candle. Has Kong-hu finally decided to read? The leader was pleased. The books in the Sutra Collection Pavilion were all classics, and Ma Zhou and his wife wouldn't be interested in them. Upon entering the Sutra Collection Pavilion, he found the Human Emperor flipping through the books. Your Majesty, what are you? The Human Emperor moved his neck. Oh, it's you, leader. Those 2 little scoundrels Zhang Li and Bai Hongtu told me that a treasure-gathering immortal was recorded in Celestial World Anecdotes. I felt their story was plausible and not made up, but I've been searching for this book in the treasure-gathering immortal all night and found nothing. Do you think I should go to the Taoist scripture library to search? After a moment of silence, the leader tentatively responded, perhaps, there's no such thing as celestial world anecdotes or treasure-gathering immortal. The human emperor was stunned and then said, grinding his teeth, those two rascals. Chapter 773, Extra Chapter, Breaking Through the Mahayana Realm. In the human emperor palace, Commander Lu had a slight frown on his face as he glanced at the secret chamber behind him from time to time. 3 days ago, Zhang Li miraculously returned to the human emperor palace. He sought out Commander Lu and mentioned having some ideas about cultivation that he wanted to attempt, and requested Lu's protection during this period. This perplexed Commander Lu. The Hall Master has already reached the pinnacle of the Transcendence Tribulation stage. Could he possibly break through further? Commander Lu quickly dismissed that thought. The realms above were those of the immortal and the Mahayana. Breaking through would be akin to defying the heavens. If it's not about cultivation advancement, could it be that he's made progress in the myriad arts of cultivation? Commander Lu startled at his own thought. How could he come up with such an impractical idea? Forget it, everything would be clear once the Hall Master emerges from seclusion. Commander Lu decided not to contemplate further. Suddenly, numerous strands of spiritual energy started to surge in the tranquility of the secret chamber, appearing boundless. Commander Lu softly gasped. Zhang Li's aura broke free from its restraints, spreading in all directions. Everyone across the continent of Jojo, from immortals to mortals, were able to sense this unprecedented aura. From the setting, the heavenly demon from the extraterritorial should not have any flaws. Old immortal Chengsheng reminisced about the information regarding the extraterritorial heavenly demon, and concluded that it was quite complete. There were no contradictions and there was no need for further additions. There's nothing much to add for the Mahayana realm setting. What is that aura? Old immortal Chengsheng suddenly stood up, his face filled with disbelief. He had lived for tens of thousands of years, but never had he felt such an aura. A power transcending the Transcendence Tribulation stage. Has Zhang Li become an immortal? No, this is definitely not the aura of an immortal. What had happened? Old immortal Chengsheng hurriedly left Sealing Self Cave, heading straight to the source of the aura. Designing a formation for the whole Jojo continent is difficult indeed. Bai Hongtu agonizingly ran his fingers through his hair. In the aspect of design would safeguard Jojo, Zhang Li was of no help. Bai Hongtu had to rely solely on his own exploration. Setting up such a large formation put an extremely demanding requirement on computational abilities. It wasn't something those in the Transcendence Tribulation stage could handle. Even Earth immortals barely met this requirement. Bai Hongtu was trying to increase computational abilities. He had tried the establishment of the 3 Pure Land, creating 3 avatars to quadruple the computational abilities, but the results didn't meet expectations. Is there any other way? Just as Bai Hongtu was engrossed in thought, scribbling idly on a piece of paper, a familiar aura disrupted his train of thought. Zhang Li, Emperor of Heaven Origin Palace. A yellow gourd hung beside Yu Yin, rising and falling intermittently, carrying a strange Taoist rhythm. Yu Yin was in a deep meditative state, her eyes closed. She slowly opened her eyes and looked towards the direction of the human emperor palace. Her gaze was full of confusion. Zhang Li can make another breakthrough. The merit of my cultivation, the Buddha's realization, doesn't end in nirvana. I constantly follow this mantra, saving and protecting those cultivators who sincerely practice samadhi. At the peak of Mount Sumeru, the Sumeru old Buddha was preaching his dharma. His voice was deep and profound, full of mysteries. Every disciple and devotee, both on Mount Sumeru and in the Buddha land at its foot, could hear him clearly. The whole of western Buddha land was bathed in a golden hue, looking as if a golden veil enveloped it, separating it from outside interference. The movement of Zhang Li's breakthrough was so huge that not even the veil over Buddha land could keep out his aura. The believers were confused and lost their focus on the sermon. Sumeru old Buddha paused, aware of the anomaly in the human emperor palace. His cultivation was at its pinnacle, so he felt the changes more clearly than others. The old Buddha pondered for a moment, deciding to finish his sermon before leaving. Whether he left or not, it wouldn't affect Zhang Li's breakthrough. If one aspires to practice sincerely in the future, they should maintain the precepts of a monk, and select those who are pure. Within moments, winds were stirring and clouds billowing throughout Jojo. The usually composed senior cultivators couldn't sit still. They overcame their differences and converged on the human emperor palace. Among them were figures like Sumeru old Buddha, Li Bai Hongtu, Yu Yin, and the saintess of pure heart. They saw Zhang Li, his eyes closed, sitting cross-legged, floating in the air above the human emperor palace. Surrounding the Human Emperor Palace was a large formation composed of the Human Emperor Palace Guard. It aimed to prevent any disturbances to Zhongli's cultivation. Even now, everyone was still befuddled, clueless about what had happened. What has happened to this grandson of mine, Zhongli? Bai Hongtu fixed his eyes on Zhongli in the air, deeply concerned for his grandson's health. He was exactly 1 year older than Zhongli, which made him an elder relative. Yu Yin raised her eyebrows, sensing the ever-increasing vitality within Zhongli. She was certain that Zhongli was becoming stronger. The holy maiden Pure Heart looked worried, concerned for Zhongli's safety. Gigi used her special eyesight to foresee Zhongli's safety in the future, thus relieving her heart. Both the old Buddha of Mount Sumeru and Li Er exchanged glances, and both saw the shock in each other's eyes. Like the original Zhongli, they were both at the peak of the Transcendence Tribulation stage. Today, they could clearly sense Zhongli becoming stronger, moving towards breaking the barrier between immortal and mortal. Becoming an immortal, all cultivators of the body integration realm and the Transcendence Tribulation stage gathered here, but none of them knew what had happened. Such a situation experienced by Zhongli was never recorded in ancient immortal scriptures. Everyone subconsciously turned their eyes onto the old immortal everlasting, hoping to get an answer. The old immortal everlasting felt a chill creep up his scalp, as he was also in the dark about what had happened. Is this the Mahayana realm? Zhongli sensed the change in his body, a drastic improvement compared to the tribulation crossing stage. If another external heavenly demon invaded, he would not have to battle with his life on the line. Over 30 years ago, when the external heavenly demons invaded, Zhongli as the human emperor led the front lines. At that time, Zhongli, filled with determination, fought fiercely with the external heavenly demons, while Bai Hongtu provided support with his cultivation skills. In the end, the external heavenly demon was slain by Zhongli. Bai Hongtu also successfully progressed from the body integration realm to the tribulation crossing stage. I should be in the early Mahayana realm now, with room to improve. Zhongli landed, and everyone rushed forward to check his condition. Sorry for making you worry, I'm fine. Old Immortal, have I reached the Mahayana realm? Zhongli asked, admittedly not very sure himself. 3 days ago, he sensed a breakthrough, so he returned to the Imperial Palace and focused on his cultivation. Working tirelessly, he broke free from the shackles of the Transcendence Tribulation stage and arrived at the Mahayana realm, as suggested by the old Immortal Everlasting. It should be the Mahayana realm, right? Mahayana realm. Everyone gasped in astonishment. They couldn't believe someone had actually reached the Mahayana realm. What is the Mahayana realm? The pinnacle of mortals, able to compete with immortals, capable of battling heavenly immortals for 30 rounds. Its power defies conventional understanding, frightening to behold, and very rare. Only 2 have appeared in the 10,000 realms in the past 100,000 years. Over the 8,000 years in the 9 provinces, countless tribulation crossing cultivators attempted to unravel the secrets of the Mahayana realm but failed. Nobody could reach the Mahayana realm, let alone find the conditions to break through to it. Impressive Zhongli, he actually succeeded. Bai Hongtu was pleased. Reaching the Mahayana realm would bring great benefits to both Zhongli himself and the 9 provinces. He didn't see himself as lacking compared to Zhongli. If Zhongli could cultivate to the Mahayana realm, so could he. Yu Yin also gave a rare smile, happy for Zhongli. Pure Heart beat her chest, sighing in relief. Everyone soon accepted the reality. Indeed, only the rarely seen Mahayana realm could explain the current situation. Zhongli's energy fluctuations were almost like those of an immortal, and there was only one possibility, the Mahayana realm. The old Buddha of Mount Sumeru's brows relaxed, seeing the old Immortal Everlasting in a better light. He had always thought that old Immortal Everlasting was fooling them, conflating the unknown Mahayana realm. It seemed he was wrong. Old Immortal Everlasting. So, the Mahayana realm truly exists. The old Immortal Everlasting nodded gently, having a grasp on Zhongli's situation. Records on the Mahayana realm are rare, but there still are some. The Ancient Immortal Chronicles describes the signs of breaking through to the Mahayana realm, being blessed by the heavenly Tao, celebrated by the world, and sensed by all creatures. It's unlike becoming an immortal but is more than it. And, I've met both the immortal Mingwo and the war immortal in the immortal realm, you are already giving off vibes similar to them, so you must be in the Mahayana realm. Everyone may not have heard of the Ancient Immortal Chronicles, but seeing the old Immortal Everlasting talk confidently, they believed him. Zhongli sighed in relief. I thought I had made a mistake in my practice. Since the old Immortal says so, it should be correct. The old Immortal Everlasting also relaxed, As long as they believed him, it was good. Today we should celebrate. Come, let me share with you all the method of breaking through to the Mahayana realm, said Zhongli. Eyes lit up at his words, everyone admired Zhongli's generosity. The human emperor Zhong really is magnanimous, always putting the public interest first. Awfully valuable is the method to break through to the Mahayana realm. Both Immortal Mingguo and the War Immortal did not leave any clues, yet Zhong is willing to share his method. The gap in their attitude is obvious. Inside the imperial palace, Zhong elaborated eloquently, while those below were rather confused. The old Buddha of Mount Sumeru, the commander Lu, Li and Bai Hongtu communicated via divine sense, realizing they were not the only ones baffled by Zhong Li's explanation. Despite not understanding, everyone meticulously noted down the points Zhong Li made. Back at Dao Sect, old Immortal Everlasting retreated to his cave dwelling, frantically searching through books for answers, unlike his usual calm demeanor. He pored over ancient scriptures for 7 days but failed to find any record of the Mahayana realm. What in the world is the Mahayana realm?